what Alan Thompson might be able to do at the wheel of the green BMW, but he's backed the pace off coming in towards the club chicane, so I don't think we're going to see him do anything other than head right and into the pit lane as he exits the chicane. No, he does carry on, but at a much reduced pit speed, so there will be no improvement there. The only other potential improver could be Steve Griffiths at the wheel of his Ginetta G20, because he has not as yet at the wheel of the yellow car taken the checkered flag, and he, I think, is out on the far reaches of the circuit, potentially going to be one of the last few cars to take the checkered flag. So I'll guide you through the first few rows of the grid at least, and then we should get through those just as Steve Griffiths starts to arrive in shot. Number 34, Dave Griffin, his BMW will start from pole position with a 1 minute 26.797, and second quickest is number 70, Stuart Dayburn, with a time of 1 minute 27.220 from his TVR Tuscan. Third quickest, the number 56 BMW of Alan Thompson, 1 minute 27.591, and fourth quickest was number 71, the father and son pairing, Tony and Aston Blake, with their Porsche, 1 minute 27.784. Fifth quickest is 63, Doug Seaman and Roland Jones with their Beamer, 1 minute 28.506. And sixth quickest is number 86, which is Kevin Bird and Charles Hyde, Andrews Bird, with a time of 1 minute 28.762. The leading car of the Turbo Tin Tops is seventh quickest, car number 163, the Ford Fiesta ST of Alex Tate, with a time of a 1 minute 29.326, and eighth quickest is number 19, Steve Griffiths, with his Ginetta G20, 1 minute 29.479. Ninth quickest is the second of the Turbo Tin Tops cars, number 12, which is Charles Newton Darby's Mini, 1 minute 29.575. And 10th quickest is number 166, another car from the Turbo Tin Tops, Richard Clark, with his Mini, 1 minute 30.546. 11th quickest is 68, Andre and Jake Severs with the Volkswagen Beetle, 1 minute 30.825. 12th quickest, that's where we see car number 90, which is Ian Bower. On my entry list, he's down as a reserve, so he might not line up in that position on the grid. So this is more qualifying times than absolute cementing of the grid. 1 minute 30.893. 13th quickest only for number 43. Thought he might be a bit higher up there, which is going to be Andy Thompson at the wheel of his Seat Leon, 1 minute 30.911. And 14th quickest for the TVR Tuscan of Clive Leatherby and Matthew Ellis. They posted a best of a 131.053. 15th quickest is number 11, and that is Andrew Presswell. Second reserve he is, so the Vauxhall Astra VXR is not guaranteed to join the grid, but 15th quickest time in qualifying, 1 minute 31.161. 16th quickest is number 39, which is Rob Hardy, out at the wheel of his Porsche once more, 1 minute 31.785. 17th quickest, but only did a lap before it expired, I'm very sad to say, and that is the Honda Civic Type R of Dan Ludlow and Stuart Emmett, with a time of 1 minute 31.876. 18th quickest is where we see car number 26, which is Roger Hamilton with his Ginetta G20, 1 minute 33.249. 19th quickest is number 97, which is Clive Seegers and Andrew Grimm with their Mini JCW, 1 minute 33.395. And just to give you the top 20 again, in 20th position, it was number 20, which is David Sharp at the wheel of the Lotus Elise Series 1. The best that David could manage is a time of 1 minute 33.834. So that gives you the times, at least. We'll give you the full grid a bit later on. Coming up in a few moments' time, new series to the Classic Sports Car Club for 2020. Slick Series is next up.
We have our brand new series for this year. The Slick Series. Oh, so every other class we have done threaded tyres. Now we're giving for slick cars, so they're all either slick or wet. So pretty much we should get from class to that. We're expecting that. They are extremely fast. We're expecting to get like maybe some GT3 cars and 4 cars and what they go for a race and testing before they're actually racing stuff like stock and stuff. So. But yeah, I mean, I was like, I was that talking yesterday, and they were going like. Yeah. We should have, well, we have a DCR, we have an Andy Creel World Touring car, we have a Ginetta, we have a BM, an S1 GTR. Get ready, and the green flag will be clear to go. Stop line, can I have a green flag, please? they get a radio conference as well, so they should know and see how visual green to me.
I know, but they're so slow going up fast.
It should be on the bottom. Something at the bottom, really, no. That 72 car is ridiculously noisy. Move on to the next car. If it's not moving, go to the next.
Move on!
Yeah, move on to the next. That 223 car is really noisy. I know, which is not normal. As much as everybody complains about the Porsche Carrera cutbacks, it's like life is just for the noise.
It's fucking boring!
I actually don't mind the Porsche, to be fair.
Yeah, there are only 8 cars in this field.
There's about 12 or 14. It's the first time that we've run them, so we expected the number to be a bit high.
No, because there's only 8 cars.
On the top. There's some of them from different classes, so the time they get into the pits with the tyre keep on flexing out.
So it's the debut session for the new for 2020 Classic Sports Car Club Slick Series, which is, a new addition to the portfolio of Classic Sports Car Club Series for the 2020 series, designed for saloon hatchback sports, GT cars and some special saloons or mod sport cars with doors on slicks. Certainly in the case of the weather conditions that we've got, whether they're on slicks this afternoon with the forecast, we shall wait and see, I'm afraid. Class structure is based on engine capacity in reality, so the smaller engine capacity cars, those up to 2 litres sit in Class D, between 2001 and 3000cc in Class C. Class B is for 3 to 3.5 litre engines. Anything that's over 3.5 litres sits in Class A. Three very simple rules for eligibility to the series: no single seaters, or sports racers, or 7 type cars. And as we say, anything really goes other than that as well. So it's nice to see this new series supported for this year. Nice to see a mixture of the BMWs out there. Gorgeous to see Jamie Sturgis's Volkswagen Golf TCR car that he will share with Jake Hill, British touring car driver, in this particular one. However, I think we are missing... Oh no, Nigel Mustall's car is out there by the look of things. Yeah, the Nissan GTR Nismo, the ex... Bob Neville built RJM Nissan that would have competed. The likes of Struan Moore, I think, would have been one of the drivers that perhaps raced that in the British GT Championship a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, great to see one of Bob Neville's built RJN Nissans out there in the hands of Nigel Mustall. No stranger to Thruxton, and no stranger to big sports cars around Thruxton and the circuits in particular down in the southwest of the country as well. So that gives you an idea as to what's going on. It is a new series, so what the times are going to look like, I simply don't know at this stage. We'll see how they get on, and then we'll be back with you for the final 15 minutes of the qualifying session for the Slick Series.
Right there, isn't there?
And they're all different shapes and sizes.
And colours.
Yeah.
And not little icky colours, nice colours.
Martini different. So even if you don't get the number,
You still can.
you can say Martini car.
Well, for the first time a new series been launched, 15 cars was bad.
No.
Next, GT3 Nissan. It'll be interesting though to see some of them try to get off the line, especially the bigger things.
That 99's a bit rapid.
That's Jet Hill.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well, that may have.
He's just 3.8 seconds quicker than anybody else.
Yes, the driver may have something to do with that as well as the car. Then.
Well, he's currently 20 seconds quicker than the last car. She's that 233 car. Would you like a fizzy gummy?
Oh, I haven't had a fizzy gummy either. Thank you very much. And they sound like real cars.
Yeah, don't they? I'm quite glad that something different to answer. The thing is, we're expecting to get like some GT touring cars, infinite so much more track time. Because our driving standards are so strict, the likelihood of something doing a is less, therefore we're hoping we'll get bigger grids.
See, I do have my favourites in your club.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I prefer all the custom stuff.
Oh, look, for heaven's sake, I'm only getting half. If I start with him at the start of each lap, I'm only getting about half the drive.
Damien!
Go on, eat it through your mask.
Hello. Alright, you guys are getting to bed very late. So you didn't? No, I didn't, you're right.
Look, if I stand back here, then you can take it.
I was up at 4:30, went for a run.
Lucky you were fixed on that.
You only had the bottle with it. Did you have a nice drive down? I didn't hear the 3 bad kind of thing. That section of M5 is 30 miles of 50. battery.
Have we got a speed gun out?
Not for qualifying, come back to it. Yes, I am aware of
Not a few. Has anybody reported him up?
Well,
What?
99 impacts.
He is in
Yeah.
That's right, I haven't seen him for 30 seconds, so I thought he must be in Pets.
Because we have no speakerphone, we can't say.
You know what I say, we think it's
Well, it's different.
I was just thinking that TCR car when he came in seems to be going quite excessive.
Oh, we've had a few already today.
The black BMW and speed one.
Yeah, that as well. This isn't going to be a bad series. We can get a few more cars. Jake, biggest 170.
See it?
The TCR.
This is probably my most second favourite then now.
Yeah.
Bracelet.
Yeah.
Why is nobody in there then?
Bloody hell, that's right now. Out of.
Someone for me. Please, miss.
I am so out of practice. Hold this side. Right, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I was so out of practice, I even looked at it the wrong way up.
Thanks, ma'am.
We've got a GT3 this time.
And a push Carrera Cup as well.
Yeah.
I'm assuming 1990 just got home.
Don't come back out.
I know.
Alright.
The 1 Series was quite nice, didn't it?
Yeah, this one.
That's nice. The actual 1 Series. Well,
That
not bad.
one series.
That's 1 Series coupe, isn't it? Silver figure. Right that way. First update on it.
Is it yours or is it?
No, it's mine. 220D M4. Not bad for
But
mine.
it's in my car.
You're up with M4 convertible, don't you? Did you change?
I thought it just used to work, didn't it?
Oh, that's fun.
Nice spreadsheet.
Yeah, I got Bev gave me one for
No, no. Oh, nice spreadsheet. I
Yeah.
Race one.
As long as it's incorrected.
Right. I will leave you to it. Have fun.
Bye bye now.
See you in a bit.
Maybe not. currently have the second place car in pits. Single digit 8. So you splitting this one?
Yeah.
Does that make your green flag then, are you?
Yeah, I'm taking the green flag.
Pretty much multiple cars in pit lane, Bev. Multiple cars.
Now you see when the other driver was in there, I was starting new laps about halfway through 3.
Yeah. Whereas now, is it going a bit more in order?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a brick car.
So again, there's just under 15 minutes remaining of the qualifying session for the new for 2020 Slick Series, and it's given us sort of the benchmark for what might happen over the course of this weekend, because as I say, it is a brand new series for this year that's been added to the Classic Sports Car Club portfolio, and the car that tops the times is number 99 at the moment. Jamie Sturgis sharing the Volkswagen Golf TCR with Jake Hill, and it is that car that is over 2 seconds ahead of anybody in terms of qualifying pace at the moment, so they've really stamped their authority on this qualifying session. 1 minute 17.516. Darren Fielding's number 8 BMW is second quickest with a 1 minute 19.528, and third quickest, having just improved, is the car that's about to head over the start finish line again now, which is the number 62 car of Matthew Evans. He improved last time through, not the lap he's just completed, but the one prior to that, with a 1 minute 20.586, but has just lost out a place because Ollie Brown at the wheel of the Ginetta G55, the Ginetta or the Team Hard Scholarship winner for this year, has just gone third quickest, number 34, with a 1 minute 19.728, getting a bit of extra track time in, having won the Ginetta Scholarship, largely concentrating on the GT Cup Championship, which is within MSVR's portfolio, but Ollie Brown, who has not done really anything since karting 20 years ago. I think I raced with him in Formula TKM when I was back karting 20 years ago, but jumped in a race car. Didn't even know that he'd been applied for the Team Hard Scholarship. It was one of his mates that put in the application, and he went to Blyton in Lincolnshire and as a result of a couple of days up there, picked up the scholarship, so racing for free this year. Number 34, Ollie Brown, third quickest. Matty Evans, number 62, down to fourth quickest, so that's a 1:19.728 from Ollie Brown, a 1:20.586 from Matty Evans. Dominic Malone is number 174. He's fifth quickest with a 1 minute 20.703, and sixth quickest at the moment is number 69, which is Dan Wiley at the wheel of the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car that sits there in sixth position, time of a 1 minute 20.942. Seventh quickest at the moment is Kevin Jones at the wheel of the Noble, the M12, 1 minute 21.040. Eighth quickest is 128, which is Brad Sheehan back out at the wheel of his BMW E46, so 121.246. Nigel Mustel and the Nissan are only ninth quickest at the moment, number 23, with a 1 minute 21.402. And the Intersport BMW, the black car with its Dayglow orange flashes, you can't miss it, long time competitor, Kev Clark from the West Midlands, number 77, is 10th quickest at the moment, 1 minute 22.013. So that gives you the order of the top 10. Last lap's completed by everybody. Nobody actually improved their lap time, other than, as soon as I say that, over the start-finish line again goes Kevin Jones at the wheel of the Noble and does improve his time. Moves up 3 places, actually, so from 7th up to 3rd now for the Noble. 1 minute 20.148 for Kevin Jones. So Matthew Evans, Dominic Malone, and then the car of Dan Wiley all dropped down a place as a result of that improvement for the Noble. So 1 minute 20.148 sees him now only 0.4 of a second off the third place car and only 0.6 of a second off the second place car. So it's all getting rather tight there. The pole sitting Volkswagen Golf back over the start finish line. No improved time for that car last time through. Through comes Dan Wiley at the wheel of his Porsche. Can he reassert himself back up the order, having slipped down to 7th? That's his first flying lap, I think, Sorry, in out lap that will have been. No, first flying lap. Just takes a while to come back up again. And it is an improvement. I think transponder issue with that car, one of a few in this field. He has improved his time, moves back up to 4th place now with a 1 minute 20.072, which nicks that position away to the tune of literally thousandths of a second, really, from Kevin Jones. 76 thousandths of a second between the pair of them. Jones is about to head back over the start-finish line again, though, Kevin. Can he improve? Noble improved last time through. No, slower on this occasion. So who have we got? We've got Darren Fielding's transponder not working. We've got number 69 Porsche, Daniel Wiley's transponder being a bit troublesome. And also we've got Brad Sheehan's transponder being a bit troublesome. So they're being timed manually by TSL timing and will get slotted back in to their correct position as and when they've been able to do that and sort it out. Through goes John Cockerton's Porsche, 14th quickest, penultimate place at the moment. The slowest of the cars that we've had out is Chris Tilley's Chevrolet Corvette C5. That's the burgundy coloured car. He is 1.5 seconds off the pace of anybody else in this qualifying session so far. But at the sharp end, Jamie Sturridge and Jake Hill still on provisional pole position with that 1 minute 17.517 that was set on lap 3, so very early on in the session. The same lap as actually Darren Fielding, the number 8 car that lines up with them on the front row of the grid provisionally. He set his. 8 minutes of the session still to go. Through goes Michael Coker's Corvette C5. Thundering great big noise it makes as it rumbles its way down towards Allard and improves on that lap. So from 13th up to 12th for Michael Coker. 1 minute 23.544 from him. And we also saw improvement again from the Noble of Kevin Jones, who's now popped in a 1 minute 19.624. Now that is a very good lap indeed from the Noble. If he can find literally another tenth of a second, he'd then be on the front row of the grid actually and dispose Darren Fielding off the front row of the grid. So 96 thousandths of a second that separates the Noble from finding its way onto the front row of the grid currently. And with a smaller grid, 15 cars out there for the first ever race, there's plenty of track space in which to find a clear run and see what you might be able to do. Cars coming through over the start-finish line. There goes Darren Fielding now, the number 8 car. He's the car that needs to pop in the quick lap if he wants to try and hang on to pole position, because the way that Kevin Jones is going at the wheel of the Noble, he's just threading his way through Church Corner now with that amazing section that the circuit have worked on over the winter to make sure that if you have an off at Church, it's very much uphill all the way. The tons and tons of earth that they've moved to create a whole new runoff area at Church Corner, which certainly is still a brave corner, but you just feel a little bit safer, I suspect, as you head around that part of the circuit now. But can he improve, Kevin Jones? The dark blue Noble with its white flashes improved last time through. Darren Fielding responding to that. That's why he's come back out onto the circuit, because he knows his front row start is under pressure. But no, that was a much, much slower lap from Kevin Jones on that occasion, easing the pace at the wheel of the Noble, the M12. So there'll be no improvement there. Over the start-finish line goes 49, which is Mark Jones and Robert Taylor with their Seat Leon. Into the pit lane comes the Matthew Fielding Colin Wells BMW 1M. Number 93, they're 11th quickest. So as they head down pit road, back over the start-finish line goes the provisional pole-sitting car. Ollie Brown back through again at the wheel of the Team Hard Ginetta, number 34. Now, he doesn't need much either. So it might be 2 seconds separating the car on pole to the car that sits alongside it on the front row of the grid. But second to third, 96 thousandths of a second. Third to fourth, 0.104 of a second. Third to fourth is 0.3 of a second. Then back to that is another 0.5 after that. Then back to down 0.1 of a second. Then another 0.5. Then another 0.1. Then 0.6, 0.7, 0.8 and 0.2. So whilst, first to second on the grid is covered by 2 seconds, there's only another 4 seconds covering from second on the grid all the way down to 13th at the moment. So small improvements could net big gains in the closing 5 minutes of this qualifying session. Having done a slow lap, what is Kevin Jones going to do this lap at the wheel of the Noble? It's a 1 minute 32 that he did. That's a 1:26, so he's sort of upping the pace a bit, but that's still 7 seconds slower than his previous best. So maybe just bringing the temperatures down a little bit inside the engine bay and cooling himself off and trying to get the tyres back in the sweet spot before he pushes again. Nobody having improved their times for the last few laps. Here comes the provisional pole sitting Volkswagen Golf TCR over the start-finish line once more. Jamie Sturgis and Jake Hill looking good for pole position. Now there is improvement that time through. The Ginetta of Ollie Brown does improve and gets himself on the front row of the grid. I did say a small improvement could net a big gain, and yet Ollie Brown now into the 1 minute 18 second bracket for the first time. The Team Hard Ginetta, number 34, 1 minute 18.853 from Ollie. Means that the gap to pole position now comes down to 1.3 seconds, but Ollie Brown is now safely on the front row of the grid to the tune of nearly 0.7 of a second. So Darren Fielding and at the wheel of his BMW and Kevin Jones at the wheel of the Noble now really do need to pull out all of the stops. We also saw an improvement for the number 69 Porsche last time through. Daniel Wiley with a 1 minute 19.714, so he's only 90 thousandths of a second away from getting himself on the second row of the grid, and only 0.18 of a second from moving himself up from what would be fifth up to third, so he doesn't need to find much of an improvement at all. There was also an improvement for 174, the black BMW of Dominic Malone last time through, the dentist, with a 1 minute 20.412 for Dominic. So there's a few little improvements coming in towards the tail end of this session. As into the pit lane goes number 72, which is Michael Coker's Martini liveried Corvette C5. Ollie Brown, having improved last time through, improves again that time through. 1 minute 18.790 from the number 34 Ginetta on that occasion. So the gap's down to just 1 1/4 seconds between himself and the pole-sitting Volkswagen Golf. So good improvement there. Matthew Evans is the next of the cars that's going to come through over the start-finish line. He is currently 7th quickest and had just done a really slow lap, so this would suggest it might be a quick lap he's about to complete. Pushing on, it's quick-ish, but still 0.4 of a second shy of his previous best, so that's not going to cut the mustard with 2.5 minutes of this first ever Slick Series qualification session to go. After this one, remember, we will be heading straight into our first race with the Gold Arts Magnificent Sevens having their 40-minute race coming up, and then we will be heading towards the Liqui Moly New Millennium qualifying session, which will round out this morning's activities. I'm hoping we might also be able to log on and grab starting drivers for that first race, which will be coming up very shortly. So through and over the start-finish line onto the penultimate lap will go the provisional pole-sitting Volkswagen. Through goes Ollie Brown, who is second quickest to that Volkswagen that's just heading round through Allard Corner now. Ollie Brown, slower lap on that occasion, so he's improved for the last 2 or 3. Dominic Malone about to go through and over the start-finish line. He improved last time through, he improves again this time through, but gains a place. So up to 5th now for the black BMW, number 174. Dominic Malone with an improved time of 1 minute 19.676. Well, it's a really tight field in that mid-pack. I'm going to come to that in a minute once we get Matty Evans over the start-finish line, because he looked as though he was pressing on. And he improves as well. He goes 7th quickest, which makes it even tighter now. Number 62, 7th quickest, 1 minute 19.780. That means that between Darren Fielding in 3rd position, he's posted a 1 minute 19.5, and Matthew Evans, who's 7th, he's on a 1 minute 19.7. There's only a quarter of a second between the cars in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th places. So that's a really tight section of the field at the moment. Kevin Jones at the wheel of the Noble is in that section. Can he improve? No, not quite. About 0.4 of a second shy. He only needs to find 97 thousandths of a second improvement to get himself from 4th up to 3rd. Next to the quick cars through will be the pole-sitting Volkswagen, followed by the car that potentially is going to line up on the outside of the front row alongside it. So through goes the Jamie Sturgis, Jake Hill Volkswagen, no improved time. Through goes Ollie Brown's Ginetta G55, no improved time. And then next to the quick cars is going to be Dominic Malone at the wheel of the ex-Andy Prio World Touring Car BMW. Through goes Dominic Malone over the start-finish line, could not improve. Dan Wiley at the wheel of the Porsche, what might he be able to do? The answer is just going to take a while longer to slot its way in, because that's one of a couple of cars we've got where the transponder is not working. Checkered flag goes out, so if you're on the flying lap, you can continue. Matthew Evans is opting not to. Darren Fielding is opting not to, so he's not going to start from what he thought would be the front row of the grid. He was being disposed by that Ginetta. Matthew Fielding and Colin Wells' BMW is the next to appear on the scene at the club chicane. Can they get themselves inside the top 10? They would need to find nearly 3/4 of a second if they wanted to. So through goes the number 93 car over the start-finish line. It's the first flying lap, having spent a chunk of time in the pits. No, 3 seconds slower than it's previously done, which means that I think all of the quick cars, probably other than Ollie Brown's Ginetta, have now taken the checkered flag. And Ollie Brown is pressing on. I think an improved time is a possibility. I don't think he's going to take pole because it would have to be a stellar final lap. It would have to be 1 1/4 seconds quicker than anything else he's done in the session so far. So he will press on. He'll head over the start-finish line. Is it going to be an improved time for the Team Hard Scholarship winner? No, slower lap time after all of that anyway. And have we still got Daniel Wiley on a quick lap at the wheel of his Porsche? We might have, you know. He would only need to find 38 thousandths of a second to match the lap time of Dominic Malone. So 39 thousandths of a second would give him an improved position. Through he goes. It just takes a while again because that car's transponder is not working. And as he now heads already round through Allard, just waiting for the time to correct itself. And no, he was a second slower. So the way they're going to line up for the first ever Classic Sports Car Club 6 Slick Series race will be that number 99 Volkswagen Golf TCR of Jamie Sturgis and Jake Hill line up on pole position. 1 minute 17.516. Second quickest number 34 Ollie Brown with his Ginetta, 1 minute 18.790. Third quickest number 8 Darren Fielding, 1 minute 19.528. And fourth quickest is number 12 Kevin Jones with the Noble M12, 1 minute 19.624. Fifth quickest 174 Dominic Malone, 1 minute 19.676. Sixth quickest is number 69, which is Daniel Wiley, 1 minute 19.714. Seventh quickest number 62, Matthew Evans, 1 minute 19.780. Eighth quickest 128, Brad Sheehan, 1 minute 25.57. Ninth quickest 23, Nigel Mustel at the wheel of the Nissan, 1 minute 21.402. 10th quickest number 77, Kevin Clark, 1 minute 22.013. 11th quickest is 93, Matthew Fielding and Colin Wells, 1 minute 22.728. 12th quickest is number 72, which is Michael Coker, 1 minute 23.544. 13th quickest is 49, that's Mark Jones and Robert Taylor with their Seat, 1 minute 23.792. 14th quickest is car number 100, and that's John Cockerton with 1 minute 32.860, being the best he could squeeze out of the Porsche. And 15th and slowest in the Slick Series qualification session, car number 223, Chris Tilley with his Corvette in a time of 1 minute 34.267. So that gives you the grid for that one. A quick juggle of the paperwork, and then we'll be ready to guide you through the grid and hopefully give you starting drivers for our first race of the day. The Gold Arts Magnificent Sevens is coming up very shortly indeed.
Very long time in a halo.
Yeah.
And because of the accident, she no longer has any inner body temperature control.
Oh, wow. In other words, she has to be really cold, really, like, make sure she wraps up appropriately, etc., etc.
Even when it's boiling hot, yeah.
Yeah.
Even when the temperature is extremely hot. Right. Well, not wearing my mask when you're on the grid.
That's okay.
No way.
No, it's not. I'm happy with that.
You're not near anybody.
No. And they've all got fighters on them. How
Oh, I need to wear my mask to get this yellow flag.
Much lighter than your big cloth one. No, they're much lighter than your big cloth one.
So I take it you wouldn't let you sign on yesterday?
No, it didn't. Because I hadn't done the declaration.
Even though you've done the declaration for today and tomorrow?
Yes. So it was postponed. So it's okay. They went to that chicane and watched from there.
Well, you could have had my place. You could be there, but I could have gone and watched the chicane.
Yes.
You reckon you were here yesterday?
I was here yesterday and offered my services.
Yes,
So
but
good.
you wasn't. Oh. See,
signed on.
Back in the day, he'd have gone, yeah, sign on, we're going to do it. But if you were here already, you haven't got COVID, you've not had to do it.
I'm immune to COVID. I have the blood test. I've got the blood test.
Well, yes, you're immune.
Some people have a natural immunity.
I think I had it.
I with some of my family have it, and some of my staff have it. Well, my family staff. No, I done the blood test. My blood results show that I have the antibodies. So I'm like, woo!
That's good. Because in May, last year, I had this awful like eye crack. Come and go all over my body.
Yeah.
And actually,
Yeah.
I've got quite good news. Anyway, something later, I get the favour out before we leave the fair.
So for the moment, qualifying done, not for the day though, because as we say, once we've got this first race out of the day, out of the way for the Gold Ox Magnificent Sevens, first of two for them today, 40-minute race coming up, a 30-minute race to look forward to later on this afternoon. Then we'll have the qualification for the Liqui Moly New Millennium series, and then we will have the lunch break after that, and then we'll have a further, 6 races to look forward to over the course of this afternoon. So the Gold Ox Magnificent Sevens lining up in the assembly area. Awaiting details with regards to starting drivers for this one. Now, thankfully, there aren't that many cars that are shared in the Gold Ox Magnificent Seven, so hopefully we will get them in time just to work our way through them. I will guide you again through that Liqui Moly qualifying session in a very similar way that we've been doing, but now we've got a race coming up. It's not just me you'll be hearing from, so hopefully somewhere out at Campbell, Cobbett and Seagrave with what is one of the best seats in the house should be Marcus Pye. Marcus, are you there? Nothing heard, not as yet, then will be the answer. And this race is scheduled to get underway at 11:35, so I think we may probably, hopefully, be able to bring Marcus in a little bit and hear from him. And what I might just do is continue to do a bit of administration with this new protocol that we've got in for this weekend and try and self-serve with starting drivers for the race. So we'll be back to you with the grid for the Gold Ox Magnificent Sevens very shortly.
The Turbo 10 Tops and the Modern Classic. So, who have we got on the actual pit wall? Do we have anybody?
How do you when we went back down? I think Corey's going to start with one. Clive, are you able to do a yellow in the pit wall? You'll have 50. She'll be straight off.
Yeah, she'll be straight off.
Do you want the first two to come back this way on the pit wall while we...
I don't think I will. Well, first one, I'll be going up to the end of the first, about middle of
How far are the first three going?
We're at the road 10. We've still got a long way to get back.
No, but I'm happy just to let them go to the back. As long as there's at least 2 on the pit. I'm all thinking. Which is perfect. Yeah, which is perfect. Yeah, as long as it gives us some...
my yellow, because I won't be
So that was if we go if the car starts. Right, fantastic. Is there not any of your own?
Some in there.
Right, yeah.
Just one by the door.
Is this the race?
Yes, this is the race.
He hasn't come with a radio or nothing. So I'll just come and see you all day.
Yeah, anybody.
We're not.
Yeah, Robert has to come back to the full do that. Stay buggering around. He's weird walking up there with fingers in the air.
I know, doesn't it? Thank you, team. Does anybody want a dummy before they go something out of appropriate?
Are we allowed to share food? Not allowed to share saliva.
Oh, let me come here quick, dear. Yes! Snort! We had a snort! Oh.
Thank you.
Can you get that? Yeah, of course. I'll put it down beside your clipboard. Who's currently missing? Who's currently missing?
Well, because I can see that flying down the bloody right.
No problem. We are 8 team at the end of the day. At least it's a nicer atmosphere than last year. Because this time last year, I think I was ready for a bottle of gin and to whack people with a flag on the head multiple times. I did an Oscar last year. I could cope with it. Yes, they all ruined the broth. The broth was sour and bitter. And the issue was that I thought everybody was being pre-appointed by work. They weren't. So I arrived and everything. And then people weren't happy with who I appointed, because I appointed them who I knew from last year and what I thought was appropriate. And that didn't go down well. So I'm a community care provider, care manager. I manage 97 staff and 347 clients. Yeah. Yep. Oh. Yep. No, it's true. I used to work for social. I worked for social services for 3 months. But what I find was the more they misbehave, the more money the trust threw at them. The ones that I had one on my case was that he really bad upbringing, really badly abused as a child, got into a foster placement, got into foster placement, got 7 GCSEs, so like 7 A's GCSEs. They wouldn't give me the funding to take him go-karting. Yeah, and you can't do. Yeah.
So cars now heading out for the first race of the day, and hopefully now out at Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, as I said, with the best seat in the house. Marcus Pye joins me for the first race of the day. Marcus, are you there? Not quite still. Okay, so we'll rattle you through the grid then for this first one, based on their qualifying times from this morning. Number 46, Stephen Nuttall sits on pole position, along as 51, Christian Pittard. Row 2 of the grid is 92, Colin Watson, and 81, Jonathan Pittard. The third row of the grid sees number 40, Stephen James, lines up alongside number 14, if it's out there, because it did have problems in qualifying, Ben Simons, so 40, and 14 on the third row of the grid. And row number 4 is 85, David Watson, and 98, which is John Cutmore. The fifth row of the grid, number 88, Tim Davis, and 10, which is Tim Bishop. The sixth row of the grid, 93, Hugh Coulter, lines up alongside 43, which is James Tubby. I don't think he's sharing with Luke Stevens for this one, because he was shown on the information I received, an email, as just being a solo driver. The seventh row of the grid, 42, Richard Carter, and 22, Graham Charman. Row 8 is 89, Bruce Wilson, and 111, Carl Woodwis. The ninth row of the grid, 15, Neil Hinson, and car number 100, Ryan Lewis, sharing with Luke Lewis. Don't know the start driver for that one, however. And row 10 of the grid is number 5, Carl Nairn, and 13, 1-3, which is Greg Catton. The 11th row of the grid, number 77-0, the Coopers, Kevin and Alan. Again, we don't know the start driver, alongside 188, which is Robert Forsdyke, gentleman that I did my arts course with. The 12th row of the grid is number 2, started by Matthew Lambert, alongside number 6, Tim Ralph. The 13th row of the grid, 139, Mark Drain, and 34, Richard Green. Row 14 is 61, Mark Webster, and number 16, 16, started by Callum McDougall. The 15th row of the grid, 55, Will Rayson, and 72, which will be started by Ian Hare. The 16th row of the grid, a gap where number 54 should have been Simon and Mark Lanyon, not now out. Therefore, number 35, Charles Holroyd, will be on his own. Row 17 of the grid, 122, Gary Curtis, and 74, which is George Ralph. Row 18 is 73, George Wright, and number 65, which Stephen Story now shares with ex-British touring car driver Ray Arms, so Stephen Story will be the starting driver. The 19th row of the grid, number 7, started by Martin Dolan, and alongside is number 77, Simon Lancashire. The car entered for Simon Lancashire under the basis of One Ball Racing, because he's trying to raise awareness for testicular cancer, hence the entry on that car. So go and chat to Simon in the paddock afterwards, because he has been a sufferer of testicular cancer and just wants to raise awareness of it. And the 20th and final row of the grid, number 33, is Surid Chatterjee, and number 38, which is Keith Fryer. So 33 and 38. So cars just coming around, ready to line up on the grid. A 40-minute race with a mandatory 2-minute pit stop in the middle of it. So it's pit in to pit out. It's not stationary for 2 minutes. It's pit in to pit out, a 2-minute pit stop that has to be taken over the course of this 40-minute race between the 10th and the 25th minute of the race. Hopefully now Marcus Pye is in position, Marcus, because we're about to get this first and very busy race underway.
Sufficiently for the marshal to point to the appropriate grid position.
Nothing heard, I'm afraid, still, so we will get the race underway, and hopefully if Marcus is having technical issues, he'll be able to get them resolved, or if he's a little bit late on arriving, then let's hope that he will be in the commentary box. So the grid fully lining up, quick text being sent, and then we'll be able to establish whether Marcus has got tech issues. And so front row of the grid is fully lined up. So just to give you the colours then, Stephen Nuttall sits there on pole position. His car is sort of a very dark red, almost a burgundy and black. Alongside him is number 51, which is Christian Pittard. So that's on the right-hand side of the circuit, Stephen Nuttall. On the left-hand side, therefore the outside for Allard, is Christian Pittard. His car is largely orange and has some black flashes to it. And then onto row number 2 of the grid, just to give you the colours for that one, it's Colin Watson, who is white and day glow, and alongside Colin is going to be the largely black and gold car of Jonathan Pittard. And then if we move on to the third row of the grid, it's white with some black flashes to it, but not many really, just the odd little black flash on the front wheels to it of Stephen James. And then the gap alongside, where Ben Simons has not made it out, unfortunately. I did wonder whether he would struggle to make it out based on what I saw unfold in front of me this morning. Fourth row of the grid, David Watson. He's the first of the two Spires. They're both silver and day glow. And, right, one of them is weaving its way around to get into position now, the two Spires, similarly liveried. The only way to tell them apart is David Watson has a yellow crash helmet, day glow yellow. John Cookmore has an orange crash helmet. But other than that, the cars are pretty much indistinguishable from each other. Identical liveries on them, which really is does make it rather difficult to say the least. And then the next row of the grid, just to give you that one, Tim Davis is white and day glow, and Tim Bishop, who lines up alongside him, the two Tims, his is sort of grey, but it's got little bits of purple and little bits of green to it as well. So the final few rows of the grid coming into position now. Marcus Pye, are you there? Right, no, he's on his way, is the answer. So he is on his way to Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, so we'll see them round through Allard. Unfortunately, we might just miss them on this first lap through Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, and then hopefully by the time they get down towards Noble and Goodwood, I should just be able to pick them out with the naked eye from here, and Marcus will join in for, hopefully, lap 2, lap 3 onwards, but it's a 40-minute race, so we can let the race settle down. Green flag waves at the tail end of the field. They've already had the formation lap because that was as they came out of the paddock, so red lights should come on. Stephen Nuttall and Christian Pittard on the front row of the grid. It's taken a while, but we're finally about to get the 2020 racing season underway. It was a Union Jack drop rather than the lights going out, and that really, I think, maybe flummoxed a few drivers there. Jonathan Pittard, of all, stalled on the front row of the grid, and one of the Spires is going very slowly indeed. I don't think he's even going to make it to Allard. Right, it finally manages to grab a gear and it will get going, but I was expecting the lights to come on, and it was a Union flag that dropped, which slightly confused me as well as some of the drivers, but they've all safely made it through the first couple of corners. They thread their way through Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave and then head out onto the faster sections at Noble. The field in the centre of the circuit has crops at a height which don't allow me to pick out the cars at all as they head down that bottom section of the circuit, so we'll try and look towards Church. Is going to be the first opportunity. Has Stephen Nuttall been able to convert pole position to the early race lead? Absolutely, he has. He is leading the race. Christian Pittard is sitting there in second place, but is a long way back. He's already broken the toe as Stephen Nuttall. He was 0.6 of a second quicker than anybody else in qualifying, but has really got out of the blocks superbly quickly as he stretches his legs around through Brooklands and then starts to head up at Woodham Hill. Stephen Nuttall leads the race. Christian Pittard is there in second position. Third place must be Colin Watson, number 92, who's there in third position. Fourth looks as though it's Stephen James, number 40, who's there in fourth place. And in fifth place, is that going to be Tim Davis in fifth place? Yes, it is. Tim Davis in fifth place. Sixth is going to be Tim Bishop. And seventh is going to be, I think that's Richard Carter in seventh place. So there has been a bit of shuffling in the order there with the likes of some cars, including the number 81 car of Jonathan Pittard. I said I saw him sort of stall on the grid and not get going. He's going to come through, but he's going to be way down through the order in 16th position, having started when the lights went out, or the flag was dropped, down in fourth place. So he's got an enormous amount of work to do. Plenty of time in which to do it, though, because there are 40 minutes in this race. The other car that I said got away rather slowly was one of the Spires into the pit lane at the end of the first lap. We've also seen Mark Webster heads as well, so he has not had the best of first laps. So racing continuing. Where does the Spire has not come round either. So the Spire, I'm afraid, has expired by the look of things, and that's the number 85 car of David Watson that hasn't made it through. So saw it going slowly up towards Allard, but didn't see any more of it thereafter. So in towards the braking area for the club chicane for the second time comes Stephen Nuttall, and as he dives his way through the club chicane, he is already, after just one lap of racing, 1.25 seconds to the good. The best of the fights at the moment is going to be for fourth and fifth position, because Tim Davis now is up into fourth place, and down to fifth has gone the number 40 car of Stephen James, and already Tim Davis is starting to put daylight between himself and the car he's just taken that place from. So round through Allard they'll go. Are they into the side of Marcus Pye on this lap? Not quite would be the answer. So through Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, and then start to flash their way down through Noble and up towards Goodwood, and it's only just as they exit Goodwood that I can see sight of them. All right, the other Spire has, no, that is David Watson. So that's the car of David Watson that has come through very slowly. It's taken him the best part of 2 laps to do 1 lap as far as he's concerned. So The car that was going slowly up towards Allard has now appeared into the pit lane, and that's a rather sorry sight. I can't see that car going any further. As for our race leader, well, the gap was stretched by another 3/4 of a second last time through. The first flying lap for Stephen Nuttall was a 1 minute 18.351. Now that is half a second quicker than he managed in qualifying when he qualified on pole position. So going to show that, yeah, the circuit has probably improved as it's rubbered up after a very, very long winter indeed. There was sort of half a day's testing here yesterday, but a little bit of overnight rain as well probably allowed some of the rubber that had been laid to sort of disappear a little bit. So through goes Stephen Nuttall. Gap first to second will have come down this time through, because pushing hard is Christian Pittard in second position. So the gap is on for the fight is on for the lead of the race. Colin Watson is third. Tim Davis, number 80, is there in fourth place, and fifth still is number 40, which is going to be Stephen James. And this time, are they in the sight of Marcus Pye? It would appear not still. So Marcus still on his way there. He was sort of slightly delayed and will work his way around towards Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave as the race wears on. So remember, pit window opens. It's a 2-minute stop from pit in to pit out. Pit window opens 10 minutes into the race, so it's only 5 minutes away from the pit window opening, and during that period of time everybody has to stop for a minimum period of time, which includes, of course, the fact that you have to drive down the pit lane at the regulatory speed limit. So from breaking the loop on the way into the pits to breaking the loop on the way out cannot be any less than 120 seconds. As the fight is on for the lead of the race, back up towards me now, in towards the braking area on completion of what will be the fourth lap of the race, comes our race leader, Stephen Nuttall. The pressure is beginning to build now. The orange car in the hands of Christian Pittard is getting ever closer to him. It was 1 1/4 seconds a few laps ago. Then it came down to 0.8 of a second last time through. And this time through, as they head over the start-finish line and up towards Allard, the lead gap is down to just half a second. And I'm hoping this time they might appear into the sight of Marcus Pye. Now I can hear a bit of clicking in my microphone, but I can't hear anything more than that at the moment. So nose to tail still they will be for the lead of the race through Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave. There's another good fight just heading over the start-finish line now. It includes Graham Charman, who is fighting away with Jonathan Pittard, the number 81 car, thrusting its way back up through the order after its terrible start. And also number 42, Richard Carter, is in there in the mix as well. But keep an eye towards that number 81 car of Jonathan Pittard. Sort of black with its gold flashes down the centre of it. After stalling from fourth on the grid, dropping all the way down through the order, he is now going to be in 8th position, probably in 7th by the time they head towards Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, because he seemed to have a run heading out of Allard on the largely black car with its red rollover hoop of Graham Charman. That might be sufficient for him to gain the opportunity to steal the place away. For the lead of the race, though, this time through, the gap has increased again once more. So Stephen Nuttall has pushed a little bit harder. Might have pushed hard in the early stages to break the gap, then saw that it was being whittled down by Christian Pittard. It was down to half a second. This time it's going to be up to just over a second, I would have thought, as they head over the start-finish line, round through Allard. They are now on to their 6th lap of the race as they disappear, unfortunately, back out of my view. Still nothing from Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave with Marcus Pye. As for the progress of Jonathan Pittard, well, he was 8th at the beginning of this lap. The number 81 car this time is going to come through in 7th position by the look of things. Over the start-finish line he goes. Yep, 7th place for Pittard. Then we've got John Cutmore's Spire. Number 98 is there in 8th position. 9th place is Graham Charman. And into the pit lane, I'm afraid, comes one of the cars inside the top 12. Number 93, Hugh Coulter, has got his hand aloft and brings the Boss Racing Caterham in towards the pit lane, I'm afraid. So that is it for him as well. One of a couple of the cars that have already dived into the pit lane with problems early on. But for our race leader, leading now back to where the gap was a few laps ago, 1.4 seconds almost first to second place. Stephen Nuttall from Christian Pittard. Stephen Nuttall also with the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 18.351 on his first flying lap. Has still not been bettered as yet. And remember, that is still half a second quicker than he managed in qualifying as well. I noticed we also have the other Spire back out, so it's working again now. Number 85, David Watson, but he's going to be a long way down through the order after his problems, and is no longer going to be on the lead lap. He's down in 37th position and is only now just going on to his 3rd lap of the race, as the race leaders are on their 7th. So through and over the start-finish line have gone the leading pair yet again. 'Twas ever Nuttall from Pittard, with Colin Watson and Tim Davis, the two Boss Racing machines, third and fourth. Fifth is still number 40, which is Stephen James. Tim Bishop, number 10, is there in sixth place. Jonathan Pittard is still seventh, didn't gain another place on that lap. John Cutmore is eighth. Number 22, Graham Charman, is ninth. And Richard Carter completes the top 10 currently, as our race leader is going to start to get well and truly amongst the traffic over the course of the next few laps. Remember, it's a 40-minute race. Pit window opens 10 minutes into the race, which now means it's only 60 seconds before we might see the first of the cars dive for the pit lane, potentially. So pit window will open in, 55 seconds' time now. So, threading our way through traffic in towards the braking area for the club chicane comes our race leader, number 46, Stephen Nuttall, still leading the race, but now he is starting to get into the traffic. And of course, being the first of the cars to meet the traffic and no headlamps on the Caterham that he's running, he's not able to forewarn the back markers that he's trying to push on through. So gap has increased still, though. First to second place, came out by another 0.7 of a second last time through. So it's now up to 1.8 seconds first to second place. And with 30 minutes of the race to go, the pit window about to open, hopefully Marcus Pine might be able to chip in before too much longer. So he was briefly delayed in the paddock area, but is on his way round to Campbell Cobb and Seagrave.
Control from start line 1. Pit window open. Pit window open.
So out on the far reach of the circuit, that's where the race leader is just trying to pick him out at distance. Yeah, heading down in towards Church Corner now is the orange car of Christian Pittard, nice and easy to pick out. The race leading car of Stephen Nuttall, because it's slightly darker, is not quite as easy to pick out at distance, but he is still leading. He has further stretched the gap, I would say, this time through. Pit window, just to confirm, is now open as well. So are we going to see any of the front runners come in? Not Stephen Nuttall, he's going to crack on. Neither is Christian Pittard, so both of those through and over the start-finish line. The next of the cars through at the sharp end will be the white and the day-glow orange car of Colin Watson, who will still continue in the race. Tim Davis looking as though he has no intentions of heading for pit road just as yet, as he sits at the wheel of number 80. And number 40 heading through, which is going to be Stephen James. And Tim Bishop at the wheel of the number 10 machine will wrap up the top six. He's just about to flash his way over the start-finish line now. Now, the pace has eased considerably over the course of the last few laps. The race leader's now lapping about 5 seconds slower than he had been doing, as he was just easing off the throttle to thread his way through the traffic. The lead advantage, though, still grew. It grew by another 0.6 of a second last time through, because, of course, Christian Pittard was also dealing at the wheel of the number 51 car with some traffic. So the gap first to second is now up to 2.5 seconds. As our first pit stopper, we've got our first taker for the pit stops. Number 13, I think it was, dived into the pit lane. And he says number 13. I'm not entirely convinced there is a number 13 in the field. Yes, there is. There is. Greg Catton is number 13. So there is indeed a number 13. So into the pit lane comes our first pit stopper, Greg Catton. Remember, it's 120 seconds from when you break the beam going into the pit lane to when you break it on the way out. That's not the usual Classic Sports Car Club regulations, but that is the COVID-19 pit stop regulations. And now we got the race leader in, so Stephen Nuttall does come in this time round. So into the pit lane he comes, followed by Christian Pittard. So first and second place, both in the pit lane at the moment, which means we are now nose to tail for third and fourth, which is shortly to become the lead of the race, but they both come in as well. So number 92, Colin Watson, comes in. Also then, coming into the pit lane is Tim Davis, who's come up from 9th on the grid and was running in 4th place. So it's going to give the lead now to number 40. 40 takes up the lead of the race, which is Stephen James. So he now is going to be leading the pack in reality, so he'll be up to the lead. Another pit stopper in this time through is 42, which is Richard Carter. So he comes in from what was 10th position. So number 40 leads the race. Up to second will come number 10, Tim Bishop. Up to third now will be Jonathan Pittard. That's the car that, of course, started fourth, tumbled down through the order because when the Union flag dropped, it went nowhere, and is gradually worked its way back into contention. It's now in the overall podium places, and now we can hear the other microphone, which means Marcus Pye joins us. Hi, Marcus.
Good morning. A bit of a tortuous route out here with gates being closed, etc. But sorry to be a little late on duty, but fantastic Caterham 7 action here, or Gold Arts Magnificent 7 action. And I saw that number 40, you said, taking the lead up, come through half a lap or so ago. And it's all quiet out here at the moment. It won't be in a minute because there's a horde of screaming cars approaching.
When we had 40 cars at times in qualifying, it was always going to be a busy race. I think in towards the braking area now for the Club Chicane comes our race leader. Are we going to see Stephen James dive for the pit lane this time through? No, he will still continue in the lead of the race, and he needs to keep pushing on because he's got number 10, Tim Bishop, right with him. Tim Bishop is under attack also from Jonathan Pittard, and I think Jonathan Pittard now is going to be the second of the cars that appears in your sight. He'll be up to second overall in the race, number 81.
I shall watch for that with interest. It's a mighty part of the circuit here, the switch back to the right, to the left, to the right again, out into the country. Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, as they're called. And there really isn't that much between the race leaders and all the way down the field. There's lots of different classes engaged in this race, and plenty of action to be followed.
Yeah, it's all split, as I mentioned this morning, based on the power that the cars put out. So the most powerful cars all sit in Class G. They're putting out more than 261 brake horsepower, cars in Class G. But it's Class F cars that are at the front at the moment, because all the Class G cars at the sharp end had pitted. More diving for the pit lane. Robert Forsdyke heads for the pit lane, car number 188. So another driver who is relatively inexperienced. I think it's Robert's second, maybe third year of motorsport. As I mentioned earlier on, he's one of the drivers that I actually did my arts course with on the same day at the same circuit. So he's in. Bit of adjustment to tyre pressures as well, because that gives them the opportunity, Marcus, doesn't it, with the COVID-19 pit stop regulations. 2 minutes pit in to pit out. Bit more time for the teams to tend the cars if they wish.
Very much so, and a good old chance to look round the car, just check to see if anything's sort of a little bit loose, maybe a wing or something like that in these cases. But it's all very sensible, very pragmatic, this new regulation currently.
Leading three all together heading into your sight.
Yeah, someone's locked up there. Number 13 had quite a big moment. Sensibly came out of the brakes, and I think there might be something on the floor, on the track here, because the leader, the erstwhile leader, came in and went really, really wide, understeered at Campbell, and could well have lost out as a result of that.
Keep an eye towards that one. I think now we might have a new leader. I think up into the lead now, he's been pressing on, has gone John Cutmore. So the Spire that hasn't had the problems in the race, because David Watson's car sort of went nowhere when the lights went out and almost ground to a halt, disappeared for 2 laps, and then is back out on circuit. But the sister car to it, number 98, John Cutmore, the silver and Dayglow car, but he's driving with the orange crash helmet. That's how you can pick the two of them out. It's taken up the lead of the race by just 1/10 of a second as they came over the start-finish line, so it's all going to be rather close. And where are they? They're just coming up in towards the braking area for the Club Chicane now. Yeah, so this will be for the lead of the race. The silver and Dayglow orange Spire of John Cutmore leading the race. Is he going to dive for the pit lane this time through? No, he will continue in the lead of the race. Up to second now is the number 10 machine of Tim Bishop. Third is going to be 81 Jonathan Pittard. And down to fourth, he had been leading, number 40 Stephen James.
Yeah, that's right. Cutmore is hugely experienced in the 70 Motor Club RGB arena. He's won the class championship in that numerous times. The Bury St Edmunds builder then in car number 98 has that advantage. Yes, the white car, the SR leader, James, now down to fourth place and struggling to hang on to the pair ahead of him. But Cutmore isn't that far away from lapping his teammate, David Watson.
Yeah, well, he's about 4 laps off the lead at the moment. So the car sort of faltered at Allard when the Union flag dropped, and whilst everyone had done 2 laps, he had done a single lap before he came into the pit lane, so he was already a lap down and very, very early on in the race, and that's really sort of undone it for him in this one. But of course they have got a 30-minute race to look forward to later on. Very slowly into the pit lane comes number 38 as well, which is Keith Fryer. Now, is that to hand over to Ian Thornton, or is that a problem? No, I think he's just been very cautious bringing the low cost into the pit lane. 2 more dive for the pit lane, which includes number 5 that time through. Carl Nairn is into the pit lane, and I think Mark Drain also came into the pit lane. Race leaders with me, though, in traffic, just working his way through the club chicane. John Cutmore about to chalk lap number 13 into the book. No signs of him heading for the pit lane, or the second place car of Tim Bishop, but the third place car does. Number 81, Jonathan Pittard, who qualified fourth, stalled when the lights went out and came over the start-finish line 22nd at the end of the first race, is into the pits.
So Pittard's really going strongly. The Pittard boys have been so quick here in previous years, and it is very slippery on the approach to Campbell, because that time John Cutmore stood a bit wide where 40 did 2 laps ago. 40 now up to third as a result of Jonathan Pittard making his pit stop. There's blue flags waving like Billy-O here for the chasing group, but John Cutmore in the Spire, built by former Formula 4 racer Paul Nightingale up in Derbyshire. And the two white boss cars are charging through together, beautifully turned out. I saw Team Leos chief down in the pits earlier on, and he was saying, it's been really hectic this shortened season. Tomorrow's the first day he's had off in 5 weeks.
Yeah, Luke Stevens, who celebrated a birthday a couple of days ago, wasn't it?
He did.
Luke's birthday.
Yeah, and former national
Caterham champion. Yeah. So that car now that he is engineering, and the number 43 car that's in the hands of Tubby at the moment, I don't think Luke's scheduled down to drive now, because they didn't get a starting driver for that one. That's up to 5th position. Erstwhile race leading car is in, though, so number 40 Stephen James dives for the pit lane, which means that we've now only got at the sharp end number 98 John Cutmore as yet to pit, and car number 10 Tim Bishop has yet to pit. Those two separated by about 2.6 seconds.
About 100 metres between those two in terms territorially.
Back in the pit lane. That's the second time we've had Hugh Coulter in the pit lane, so whilst his boss teammates are side by side with you, the third car is rather troubled.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, 92 and 80 having a fabulous little personal battle there. 80 Tim Davis, 92 Colin Watson, the two of the three Boss Racing cars.
Yeah, well, Tim Davis not at the wheel of his usual car. It's black and day-glow orange usually, but you wouldn't have heard Marcus. He was accelerating out of Campbell Cobb and Seagrave yesterday up towards Noble. Everything fine with the car. The next minute, all pressure light comes on. The next minute, there's a great big bang, and a split second later, his entire visor, because he showed me, covered in oil. He had to very quickly try and, with zero visibility, try and anchor the car up. So therefore, they've gone back to the workshop, picked up a new car for him, or a different car, and that's what he's in today.
Replacement car. How far do they have to go back to the Boss Racing base? Whereabouts is that?
It's down in Brands Hatch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in Kent.
Yeah.
So
yes, you sit very much in the firing line in a 7 type car. If something goes wrong mechanically, you're sitting kind of partly alongside the engine. And here's Cutmore, 98, still fighting it. 10 behind him in second place.
Third place car is in, because that's number 40 Stephen James, so that should now put number 43 James Tubby, showing with Luke Stevens up into third position, and number 111 Carl Woodwis hasn't pitted as yet, the former British jet ski champion from many a year ago. He should be up to 4th place now, I would have thought, with his light blue car.
The two Boss boys are now in the middle of a 5-car group, and they're scrapping for every millimetre of track. This is quite something.
Into the pit lane comes number 85, so this is David Watson for the second time in this race. The first time was problems with the car. The second time is the mandatory aspect of the pit stop. The first of the pit stoppers is now up into 8th position. That is Stephen Nuttall, who should re-inherit the lead of the race as and when everything cycles through. Are we going to see the sister Spire come in? No, not on this occasion. Still pressing on is number 98 John Cutmore up towards Allard.
But yellow flags waving here, and a board going out. Is that a safety car board? I can't see from where I am.
It is, yep, safety car's coming out, and for reasons which aren't obvious from my part of the circuit, I'm afraid. Now,
there's an opportunity for some who haven't stopped to, like Cutmore, to make their stops, but it's a couple of minutes stop, as you say. I see one of the big American trucks going out behind Pat Blakeney's course car, the blue VW. So it's somewhere out the back of the circuit. And there's a response vehicle on the, yes, this is the safety car coming around now.
Peering through the binoculars, but I can't necessarily see everything out there. Now, the regulations state, or certainly the finals and the supplementary regulations for this weekend, in the event of a safety car being deployed stroke released during the pit window, and it is still, because there's still a minute and a half to go, the pit window will be extended until the end of the race. So there is no need to dive into the pit lane now if you don't wish, because you might get held by a red light at the end of the pit lane. Into the pit lane has come, however, car number 111. Now, that was from third position. Carl Woodwis is in, and also number 43 came in on that occasion into the pit lane as well, and that is James Tubby and Luke Stevens' shared car. Into the pit lane comes John Cotmore, so the race leader is in.
Which he's just done 17 laps, Cutmore. So he's into the... I'm working off the TSL live timing on my iPhone out here at the complex.
And have you got power at the complex?
I have sufficient power to get onto my laptop, which is quite something.
Good.
But I'm going to need a code to access and get a bigger screen.
Right.
Oh, the joys of technology. Marcus Pye at Luddite.com speaking.
Yes, I've got two printers of 3 screens, and yes,
A luxury, as a luxury.
well, one of the printers isn't working, so I've had to rig the other one up. That's the problem. So we've got there.
But it's Cutmore from Bishop, and that's the top two.
Both in the pit lane at the moment. So
yeah, and Woodwis, who went in the last time through, didn't he?
yes, he did. Yeah,
Effectively,
so,
111.
Yeah, Carl Woodwis went in, and also a car that was running in 4th place disappeared into the pit lane as well, which was Matthew Lambert, to give way to Richard Lambert for the second part of the race. So safety car still out there, clock ticking down. Pit window officially now closed, but my reading of the supplementary regulations suggests that if you haven't pitted, you can still pit, because
Problems again with the Watson Spire. He was groping for gears round here, and it's not making any progress going out of the complex, so I guess he'll be back into the pits if he can just about sort of cajole it back.
quick little cars, aren't they?
They're super little cars. They've had to work on them really hard. They've modified the original design. This is the RB7, as far as opposed to the RB211, which was an aero engine one, I think. Yeah, they're quick things, and Spires have been pretty dominant over a number of years until the Mattel cars came along in 750 Motor Club RGB. I can see another of the course vehicles going out, and say whatever's precipitated this safety car is out of my sight. What has been amazing is the work that's been done here at Thruxton over the last 4 months. That enormous, great berm that's been put in on the outside of Church Corner, which rises something like 9 meters from the side of the track, and something like 200,000 cubic meters of earth gone in there, much in response to the touring car incidents last year.
I saw the photographs on social media, but as ever, most photographs don't give you an idea of the scale of the gradient.
I went round this morning and walked up the gradient.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It's not quite like walking the banking at Monza, but I went out with Pat Blakeney to what they refer to euphemistically here as COVID corner. It's filled their lockdown. Very, very small staff here at Thruxton, and they're doing a lot of work. That will eventually be seeded with grass. So next year there'll be quite a vista. I mentioned to one of the drivers yesterday that he noticed the bank on the outside at Church had gone. He sort of, there's now a new one there, and he said, "No, it didn't. Has it changed?" I said, "Well, I'm glad to see you're busy anyway, making sure that your car's on the right line."
Yeah, concentrating on the apexes and not worrying about the periphery. Yeah,
exactly.
Because John Cutmore and Tim Bishop pitted just as the safety car was coming out and got back out of the pit lane without delay. That is actually going to give them the lead of the race as and when we cycle through and get the pits back, the safety car back in again. Stephen Nuttall, who had been pretty much dominant in the race and pitted very early on in the window, the second lap that he could have pitted, is lost out, unfortunately, Marcus.
Yeah, he had a fastest lap of 1:18, didn't he, very early on? That's a 1:18.351.
Half a second quicker than qualifying.
Amazing.
Oh no, right, yeah, the expire I think is definitely going to expire this time. So yeah.
It's still Aspire, but it's expired.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I remember the day when Mike White, the great South African Formula 4 2000 racer, broke a 120 for the first time in Formula 4 2000. So, these cars are tonking on around here because the track hasn't changed.
So race leader should be roughly with you.
Yes, he's just gone through. Again, he slid wide. So whether it is kind of a characteristic of the chassis or John's driving style, or whether it is actually quite slippery down there. I know it's drizzling, etc. Anyway, which exacerbates any slipperiness on the track. But quite interesting to see his lines different to most people's up here.
Yes, one thing we have got is circuit limits have been an issue for Greg Catton by the look of things. He's picked himself up a 10-second penalty, the number 13 car.
And this is Greg Catton as opposed to Greg Caton, who we know well from other racing divisions.
Absolutely, and the other car that's picked up a 10-second penalty is Carl Nairn, the number 5 car. I think the car that's gone missing is probably car number 100, which is the Ryan and Luke Lewis number 100 Caterham CSR that neither of us have been able to actually locate at this stage. But it does look as though it's sort of right the way out of both of our views, isn't it? Right on the far reach of the circuit. The exit of Goodwood and the exit of Noble and the entry to Goodwood, isn't it, by the look of things? That's what the circuit vehicles are.
That is about the only real blind spot.
I'm going to peer through. I can see circuit vehicles there, but a peer through the binoculars is not going to offer up.
That southwesterly is pretty stiff because the windsock is more or less horizontal, and I can hear the wind sort of penetrating the commentary box here through between the roof and the walls.
Yeah, I can see circuit vehicles, but as I mentioned before you arrived into your position there, Marcus, with the crops that are in the centre of the circuit and the Caterhams being so low slung to the ground, it's impossible to see them. You're talking about the swift southwesterly. Well, it's bringing in some weather now as well, so further spice to the mix. Rain's here.
Indeed. Get your pestle and mortars out, and you can cook up something really tasty.
Now, are they going to... They tend not to, as you'll know as well, Marcus, tend not to reorder behind safety car. Now, that being the case, John Cutmore and Tim Bishop are at the very rear of the train, the two, first and second in the race, behind the safety car. And Stephen Nuttall, who is third in the race and was leading, is going to be sort of... not at the front of the queue, but he's lost the best part of nearly a lap, hasn't he?
Less than gruntled.
Yes. Course cars have now left their position, so they are now back on the infield section of the circuit, which tends to suggest we might see lights go out on the safety car. Now, number 98, John Cutmore, leads the race. Number 10, Tim Bishop, is second, but they've got the best part of now nearly a full lap advantage as a result of this safety car period from number 46, Stephen Nuttall, who is in third place. Fourth is 51, which is Christian Pittar, that's the orange car. Fifth place is number 22, Graham Charman. He's another driver that's worked his way well up and truly through the order. And sixth, another gainer with when he pitted, is car number 111, which is going to be Carl Woodwist. Lights are still on the safety car. Exit of Church, I would imagine, just as it heads behind the tree where I can't see it, Marcus, is where the safety car is going to turn its lights out.
What do you have on your big screen in terms of duration?
Duration, 8 minutes and 20.
Yeah, okay. I've got that now. Yeah.
So, lights out on the safety car. So, just been able to see that we are good to go racing this time through. It really has been a race of fortune for John Cutmore and Tim Bishop with when they pitted relative to the safety car coming out. 8 minutes to go, no reordering of the field. So these two, I'm sure, are going to have to fight it out for the lead. But the first thing they're going to have to do is fight their way through the traffic because they're the very last two cars on what is a very long train, which stretches from almost the Club Chicane right the way down to Church Corner still.
Yeah, I think that decision for Cutmore and Bishop to leave their pit stops until the very, very last moment really has worked in their favour, hasn't it? Just the way the dice falls.
So safety car is about to peel its way in. And as for Stephen Nuttall, who had been leading the race, he's going to be about the 15th car, I think, in the train. So over the start-finish line, no overtaking until they reach the control line. And only now do we get things fully back underway. A couple of cars side by side when they get to the line, but I don't think anybody managed to do any overtaking, so they're all being very, very sensible, other than maybe erstwhile race leader Stephen Nuttall, because he rocketed his way past 2 cars before the start-finish line, and also number 51, Christian Pittard.
The two white boss cars, 1892, came perilously close to touching each other. They've been side by side through the entire complex here, with millimetres between their front wings, and they have escaped, and they're moving away. Probably slippery out here now, but the cloud base, I sense, has lifted, and those two, 98 and 10, at the back of the peloton, so to speak. Cutmore and Bishop are the race leaders.
Yep, so it is number 98, John Cutmore, from number 10, Tim Bishop, that are first and second in this race, and still trying to work their way through all of that traffic, as most drivers sort of tended to wait until the control line to overtake. I saw a couple, including Stephen Nuttall and Christian Pittard, that certainly did so on a couple of, a lot slower cars, but they didn't hold position until they'd reached the control line. Here come that boss pair you're talking about, which is going to be Colin Watson and Tim Davis. They're fighting away for 8th and 9th in the race, the two of them pushing each other along as they head over the start-finish line.
It looks like they deserve more, doesn't it? Trying so hard.
It's certainly, they unfortunately pitted early, and it's really sort of undone otherwise what was going to be a good race for them. But they're still enjoying it as they head towards you.
That's the important thing. It's going away having had a good experience of racing at Thruxton, and one of them's coming, 92's coming really wide, understeered, been overtaken by his teammate, and now 80's gone ahead of 92 round here. So Tim Davis has moved up and is pulling away.
The other car, Stephen Nuttall and Christian Pittard and Graham Charman, 3rd, 4th and 5th in this race, all still fighting their way through the traffic as well in what is a very, very busy Thruxton circuit. The pair of boss cars now in that differing order, as Marcus described, now going back towards being nose to tail, and I think they're going to swap back again, in the draft. I think Colin Watson's gone back ahead of Tim Davis as they head out towards Church Corner, which is typical, really, isn't it, in Caterham racing? It
is. It's very difficult to establish a lead, or certainly to break the toe, because they do offer a very, very good slipstream.
So up towards the braking area for the club chicane they will come, and which one of the pair is it going to be? It is 92. It is Colin Watson that is ahead of Tim Davis, but on the exit of the chicane, Tim Davis gets the cut back. His car is the one that's got the day-glow orange nose. That's how to tell the two apart. But
one of them's got sort of little LCD headlight things, LED headlights, isn't it?
Right, yeah. It's still, when they get to you, it should still be 92 Colin Watson, I think.
Let's see what happens. Will it be a repeat of last time? Yes. Watson sticks to the inside, can't get his car to turn. Davis gets a better run, but this time finds Watson blocking him on the apex of Cobb. Now the boot's on the other foot, but Davis looks on the inside to go through. He can't quite make it. Now it's his turn to slipstream. Oh, a big touch there. 65's gone round 6, and 65 collided. The rear right-hand mudguard of 65 has been tagged. The nose cone of 6, who pulls off on the grass, and perhaps with radiator damage as well. That's not going to continue, and the yellow flags fly.
Yes, so that's Tim Ralph, and it would have been Ray Grimes, actually, former British touring car racer, behind the wheel of 65, potentially.
Got the gold leaf team, Caterham.
So that's Jonathan Pittard, isn't it? Just looking through, Stephen Nuttall now has worked his way through back up into 3rd position, and is at the moment still lapping faster than the vast majority of cars out there. Subject to traffic, of course, is a difficult thing. Through and over the start-finish line comes the fight for 8th and 9th positions. Colin Watson and Tim Davis heading up towards Allard Corner. Now in towards my view comes number 46, Stephen Nuttall, who is fighting away with the 81 car of Jonathan Pittard, albeit there is now a full lap between those two, so it looks like they're fighting for position, but it's not. The number 46 car is a lap ahead of the 81.
Great work by the marshals, who've got the stricken 65 Grimes car out of the way. Driver is 6, just extricating himself from the top of the cage. He's walked to safety.
2 minutes of the race to go. Race leader John Cutmore, 11.5 seconds to the good over the number 10 car of Tim Bishop. He's still in the middle of the traffic that they're trying to carve their way up and through. And they are at the moment the only two cars that are now on their 24th lap of the race. They really did gain fantastic advantage pitting when they did.
One thing in the 7th instance, you can take a variety of lines into the complex, and doesn't seem to be a right or a wrong line. If you stay on the grey stuff, you're okay, but there's some very interesting ideas that don't work, and one or two quite innovative ones that do.
I didn't spot the left rear wheel arch missing of the number 92 Boss Caterham last time through. It's definitely missing this time.
It is missing this time, absolutely.
Now, I did see a raft of dust appear in the distance down at Church on the previous lap. I'm not suggesting that 2 and 2 make 4, but there's a possibility, isn't there?
Very much so.
Cutmore's gone for right. There's number 10, Tim Bishop. I was worried for a moment we might have lost the second place car, but John Cutmore is already with you, and Tim Bishop only now is heading in towards Allard. 13-second lead for the Spire.
Cutmore's gone round the outside of a much slower car at Cobb, which was quite brave, because I'm not sure that the other driver had seen him fully, but there was enough room, and Cutmore goes off now towards the left that I remember being always called Kimpton. And through he goes, out of my sight, with only half a minute on the clock. So this is the last lap of the race, is it not?
Yeah, unfortunately. It's been a difficult race to follow, really, with no reordering under the safety car, and the cars at first and second.
73 pulling off here. 73 handbrake up out of the cockpit. He has stopped and driven the car to a very safe position. So well done, him.
So that's John Wright then. Our race leader should be heading back up towards me before too much longer. Yeah, here he comes now. John Cutmore is not going to get over the start-finish line before the clock has ticked to 0, so it does look as though himself and Tim Bishop, with that great advantage that they gained when the safety car came out, is going to have done enough here. In fact, no, it's the other Spire that's going through there. So Cutmore will be down at the far reaches of the circuit at the moment, and it's looking as though he's going to be heading towards a dominant victory. There goes Cutmore over the start-finish line, and did take the checker flag, so he does go through, take the checker flag by 13.5 seconds in the end. So John Cutmore, it was a dominant win from Tim Bishop in second position. It's going to be a long gap back before we get number 46, Stephen Nuttall, over the start-finish line, who you could argue had a race win disappear for him then. It was all came down to when you pitted, didn't it? And John Cutmore and Tim Bishop pitted under the safety car, with there being no reordering. They really gained the advantage, Marcus, and that's the story of the race.
Yeah, it's whether it was tactics or pure luck, who knows, but John Cutmore will be delighted with that one, as will the Spire team. And there's loads more dust down there at Church, I know.
Loads of dust, and it was a very slow Boss racing car that sort of appeared at the same time as the dust, and now more bits of bodywork falling off it.
No smoke without fire, so to speak.
Well, it's the number 80 car that appeared slowly, and if you look towards the fiberglass tonneau on the left-hand side of Tim Davis's car, is up in the air.
Oh, okay. The air brake. He's activated the air brake.
So, last few cars over the start-finish line. Graham Charman's about to go through now in 5th position over the start-finish line. He will be the last of the cars that finishes on the lead lap. There's only 5 cars in the end that finished on the lead lap. I'll quickly guide you through the order. Number 98, John Cutmore, claims the win. Second, number 10, Tim Bishop. And third is number 46, Stephen Nuttall. But he lost all of the time, the race leader, as was, when the safety car came out during the pit window. 4th position is number 51, which is Christian Pittard. 6th place to number 22, 5th place to number 22, Graham Charman, the last of the cars on the lead lap, and 6th in the end, having started 16th, so good improvement for Carl Woodwest, winning his class and being the first of the cars a lap down. 7th place at number 2, that's another car that gained a great advantage, started 23rd place but pitted in the right time. Matthew and Richard Lambert finished in 7th. 8th place went to number 92, Colin Watson. 9th place was number 80, Tim Davis. And completing the top 10 was number 81, which was the car of Jonathan Pittard. Just outside of the top 10, in 11th place, it's number 40, Stephen James. 12th place, 42, Richard Carter. Bruce Wilson, number 89, was 13th. 14th goes the way of 43, which is James Tubby and Luke Stevens. Greg Catton had a 10-second penalty, but he's showing us in 15th place, number 13. In 16th place was, conveniently enough, number 16, Jim and Callum McDougall, father and son. 17th place went to number 55, Will Rayson, not Ray Wilson, Will Rayson. In 18th position was car number 70, that's 7-0, that's Kevin and Alan Cooper. 19th place was number 15, I'll just give you the top 20, it's Neil Hinson. And Mark Drain, number 139, completed the top 20.
Interesting there, Mark, because the fastest lap of the race was set by Stephen Nuttall, that 1:18.351, a sizzling lap early in the race. But the race winner, John Cutnor's best, was 1:21.8, so 3.5 seconds slower, yet he's won it by 13.5 seconds due to the luck of the draw on the pit stop. 64 seconds behind was Nuttall, the kind of the moral victor, if you like.
Yeah, so we won't be, unfortunately, having any podium interviews because of COVID-19 and social distancing and restrictions that are in place and things like that at the moment. So we won't get the opportunity to chat to any of the drivers in the pit lane or on the podium about what's gone on, which is a shame, Marcus. But you know, these we are at least back racing, and if we all follow this procedures and follow these new things that are in, then hopefully we can remain racing for the remainder of 2020 and beyond. Whatever
That's
it looks like.
absolutely right. And what I think is incredible here, not only is Thruxton looking so good, but the classic Sports Car Club has done a great job to get so many people in, and by distancing the races. So we've got some only running today, some only running tomorrow. More than 400 entries. Has that ever been the case at Thruxton before? I somehow doubt it.
If it has, it would have been quite some time ago. But
I've been coming here since 1973, and I can't remember that.
So 47 years. Oh, blimey, Mr. Pye.
Yes, quite a long time, yeah.
That's a good year, 73, by the way.
I can imagine.
So from qualifying, we now head to... from racing, we now head towards qualifying. It's the only batch of cars that we've not seen out as yet. A few of them you will have seen in other sessions, but it is the Liqui Moly new Millennium that will be coming up very shortly. It gives me the opportunity to do a bit more admin, shuffle some paperwork, and then when the session gets underway, we'll introduce you into it.
Oh yeah, it's a bit dumb. Yeah.
We're looking at that. They've gone from where they finished, both have got to the back of the grid.
Oh.
So they're being a bit more careful next week.
Yeah. One's preparing for the light.
I know what happened. One stopped for his grid, so the other one stopped.
Were you able to see the flag at the back?
Yes,
Not the Indian flag.
Yeah, well, I was used to it.
I shut myself. I've never had that before.
Look what the brown stuff was coming out. I think most of them, some were a bit slower, but they don't realise what was doing. Some reacted straight away, and some were a bit
It's the first I've ever had that.
Are they working yet?
I'll test when the lunch break is going to
Come to the race and then pack up again.
Oh, look at me waste that back to sweat down, and I'm begging you.
I was trying to see in a seminar to shout to people to go car.
I'm stuck.
I'm just not sure any distances there. No more than 3 in that option. Observing.
You go check on Vicky now. She's got this. I need to know if she's alright.
Just to throw into it, or
Just make it a bit more fun.
well, that's the first safety car I've had in back then. Yeah, that's 3 years. 3 years. This is my anniversary. This circuit 3 years. car stands by, and I was going to stand.
As soon as they said stand by, just let you forward and wait.
The only thing is, though, if there's no headset, I can understand that, because it only makes your safety car.
Yeah.
So if they put little headsets, I know that was the big issue at Brand actually back for the historic meeting was the marshals didn't have headsets for posts, so all they were hearing was safety car, red flag, and just oh.
They got no feeling back, they can hear you. Just letting you clear, yes, over. Yeah, last vehicle was clear now. It's clear with the marshal contract, but they should be clear.
Oh! That was a heavy impact. Exhausted. Wait, that's devastating. Seems to be one of the wee movements.
It's only bloody qualified session.
So last one before lunch, so therefore they have to qualify.
I told you, so park on the green flag, you'll be clear to go. Stop line to have a green flag, green flag, car to circuit, car to circuit. Oh, there we go. We have 2 cars practicing out of session. We've got Puma as well, Dad.
So with the weather starting to close in again, our final qualifying session of the day, just heading out onto circuit. A chunk of these cars you will have seen in earlier sessions, but there will be a few that you have not as yet seen out on track. And just by way of an introduction to it, and then, as I've done this morning, we'll pick up on the final 15 minutes of the session, because it allows me a chance to self-serve with printing out some paperwork for this afternoon and doing the other things that we need to do in these unusual times. Liquid Moly's new Millennium series is designed for post-2000 production-based cars and their racing variants, and for cars that are deemed to be in the spirit of the regulations. So, for example, older cars running non-standard aero or sequential gearboxes would be allowed in as well. So it allows a real wide variety, the likes of Ginetta and Lotus. You know, you could add in Ferraris and Aston Martins. We largely see some Hondas, certainly some BMWs in this one. And of the cars to watch out for, well, we've already seen out in a few of the sessions some of the BMWs that we've got in this one. Number 8, Darren Fielding, I would expect to be at the sharp end of this one. We haven't seen number 48 out as yet, though, which is Stephen Scott Dunwoody, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes at the wheel of his E46 CSL. Mark Smith and James Moulton Smith, again, of another very quick pairing, are they at the wheel of their slightly older E46. So there'll be ones I'd certainly want to keep an eye towards. Without question, in Class C, it might only have 2.3 litres, but it's a quick pairing. Number 85, Nigel Ainge, and Danny Cassar would be another ones to watch out for. But also a fair chunk of the cars in Class B as well that we've not seen out. The reigning champion from last year, Andrew Rath, at the wheel of his turbocharged Lotus Europa. Jamie Sturgis, we know, will be going well at the wheel of his Seat Leon. The TCR spec car that he is out in as well. And even in Class A, which is for the larger engine capacities car, Dylan Popovich was going beautifully well at the wheel of his Ginetta G50 in one of the earlier sessions once he got it wound up. And also Christian Douglas, we know, will be quick at the wheel of his TVR Tuscan. So there's a range of different cars that we'll see out there. Again, good variety. We've already had a chunk of cars take to the circuit. We're not quite going to get to the 40 that we've had in some of the sessions, but in the early stages of this qualifying session, there's already 20 cars that have registered out on the circuit. So looking forward to this one. We'll leave you in peace. We'll shuffle some more paperwork. That's given you an introduction into what the Liqui Moly New Millennium Series is all about, and then we'll pick up on the final 10 to 15 minutes of qualifying.
I don't know if it is 100%, that's why I couldn't tell. How long do we have a safety car with the wet weather? We're doing okay today.
I mean, very, very pessimistic. Hopefully my pessimism will not start this.
That's a lovely coloured Honda. This one's trundling down pit lane.
I'm absolutely certain that that's the next touring car one. I am 100% sure that's the next touring car Honda.
It's lovely. Nice coloured.
It used to belong to, who's Scottish, young Scottish one?
Shedden?
No, not Shedden, the other one.
Hamish?
No. The younger one.
Butcher?
No. In the touring car, the young one, it's quite
done, Sean.
Well, we're on lap 5 and nothing seems to be out there.
The only thing is, though, if he's that slow, he might actually only still be on his second lap.
You had to drop it right down.
The only thing is, because his number is officially registered, we'll give him a couple more laps and then we'll sort of see. It's only a line just for timekeeper's purposes, I believe. P7017.
Yeah, okay, so just 191 still out.
The only thing is, well, how he is that much slower than that. How many laps is the car supposed to qualify? According to our lap charters, that will make the 191 car 4 laps.
Give you one more and then flag it.
No, we can't do it. Can't do it. You get to circulate them for as long as you wish.
One of the front ones, I think he's 11, but he looks like he's got 113. He's got the last digit crossed out.
It's the BMW, isn't it? He's got the different base as well. That's why I think he's doing maybe.
Yeah, it's really different spot.
He's running a single digit in number one. the times are getting quicker and quicker. Yeah. .98, 199 and 11, Sean. 98, 199, then 11's your top three. Maybe still one
So with 15 minutes of the qualifying session still to go for the Liquid Moly New Millennium Series, just to give you an idea of what's going on, damp conditions to start with. For those of you listening at home via TSL, a few spits of rain at the beginning of the session, which seems to sort of be blowing through, and a few more spits every now and again come. But it's the number 98 BMW E92 of Mark Wyatt and Russell Humphrey that sit at the top of the times. Last time through, that car posted, as it heads into the pit lane now, a time of 1 minute 22.554. Second quickest is car number 199, which is the second of the two TCRs he's got available at his disposal this weekend. Jamie Sturgis with the Seat Leon with a time of 1 minute 22.885, so 0.3 of a second between the pair. Darren Fielding's BMW is third quickest, number 11, 1 minute 24.540. Fourth quickest, improved last time through as well. It was the number 21 car that went fourth quickest, which is Adam Howarth at the wheel of his BMW, the slightly older new E36 variant, though, with a 1 minute 24.895. Albeit up to third now comes Stephen Scott Dunwoody at the wheel of his E46 CSL. So 48 Stephen Scott Dunwoody, regular racer with us in a Ford Sapphire Sierra Cosworth some years ago, but now with this BMW has just popped in a 1 minute 24.502, which moves him up 2 places. He was fifth, he's now up to third. Fielding therefore drops to fourth, and then over the start finish line goes number 36, the E36 BMW that Mark Smith shares with James Moulton Smith, 1 minute 24.083. So they managed now to take third place away. Scott Dunwoody down to fourth, Fielding now down to fifth, and down to sixth has gone car number 21, which is Adam Howarth. Shifting again, though, as over the start-finish line we see further improvement. Darren Fielding going quicker, 1 minute 24.213. I say these spits of rain keep coming in and then drying out, and it's at the moment the stage where it's drying. At this stage, after we've rattled through the top 6, which keeps jumping around, number 7 is in 7th place, which is David Markison's BMW, 1 minute 26.430. Fifth quickest is the Lotus, which has just dived into the pit lane. James Tubby and Ryan Lewis with their Exige Series 2. They've posted a best of a 127.867. Ninth quickest is number 3. He says quickly trying to get through them before they all change again. Alex Haynes with his BMW, 1 minute 28.114. And just up to 10th place. It was 12th. It's now just moved up into 10th place. It's car number 144. And that is going to be David Trigg at the wheel of the Ginetta G50. So that sort of gives you an idea as to what's going on. We've since had more shuffles around. Andrew Rath brings the Lotus up into 11th place. He was 15th. And Liam Crilly with the Z4 BMW, car number 112, former production BMW champion some years ago was Liam Crilly. He is now up to 9th position and was way down through the order prior to that. 1 minute 27.488 from him. So there's still some shuffling in the order, still 12 minutes to go. Darren Fielding is going to dive for the pit lane. The Nigel Ainge and Danny Cassar Honda Integra DC5 still cracking on. That is 19th position as things stand, and I think that's the first flying lap for Danny Cassar that will have taken over that car. It was 19th, first flying lap from Danny Cassar, doing exactly what he always does. Goes 11th quickest, car number 85, 1 minute 26.954 from Danny Cassar. Really bringing that car up through the order. 11 places gained on his first flying lap since taking over it. So how much further can he propel that car up the order in what is a car which Marcus Pye is certainly giving away a few cubic capacities, not necessarily horsepower, to some of the bigger machinery around it.
That's right, it handles really well. And Danny Cassar, who's an ex-low-cost racer, is pushing on hard, will be pushing on hard, that's for sure. There's interesting, the different engine notes of the BMWs in particular out here, because there's so many different BMs in the field. Unfortunately, a lot of them are predominantly white. It makes it very difficult to identify them head on. I've made a few notes, and I can try to keep up with them better now, which is cool during the first part of this session.
Yeah, we got some of the sort of six-cylinder engines, haven't we? We got some of the V8s in the newer E90.
The really distinctive one is the 98 car, Mike Wyatt Russell Humphrey, which is a sort of vivid ochre yellow and red.
Makes it easier, doesn't it? That
it does.
Here's Danny Cassar's second flying lap, 126.9, up 11 places to 8th last time through. This time through, what can he do? 125.3 brings him up another position, so from 8th up to 7th now for the number 85 Ginetta. Dylan Popovic is getting quicker as well, though. It took a while in the earlier session for his Ginetta to come to life, and he's just gone from what was 11th position up to 8th at the wheel of the number 9 Ginetta, the black car with its orange flashes to it, 1 minute 26.314. I'm not sure whether you saw him earlier on. He just seems to take the first 15-20 minutes of session to get himself and the car warmed up, the G50.
That's right. He doesn't seem to race that much, but he cut his teeth in the Castle Combe GT series with a little Marlin, which eventually had an Audi turbo engine in it, then decided, I think, that trying to develop your own car was actually counterproductive, so just go and get something that's already developed and just enjoy the racing. And he goes well. I think he's Croatian background, something like that. And the fielding car with that distinctive sort of works livery on it looks fantastic, the BMW, with a veritable patio over front splitter on it.
I was looking at that. Yeah, that's certainly stopping some of the airflow getting under the car, isn't it?
Just needs a pink plastic flamingo and a sort of an ice bucket, and they have a party on it.
Here comes Danny Cassar again, and threading his way through the club chicane, looking as though again he is on another reasonable lap this time through. 1 minute 25.3 exactly last time through, and that is a 123.8. That moves him up a further 3 places. It's only 3 laps ago that car was down in 18th position on the grid. It's now up to 4th and was within a tenth of a second, really, of getting itself up to 3rd. So great laps being put in by Danny Cassar.
The two big Seats are together on track, but I suspect that Jamie Sturgis's car will power away from the other one quite quickly. Sturgis currently second quickest, the local man from just over the fence here at Thruxton.
Yeah, very much on the doorstep, isn't he? It's Jamie Sturgis. Over the start-finish line goes the other Ginetta that we've got in the field, which is Paul Trigg's Ginetta G50 that's running to GT4 specification. He's way down in 15th position, though, that time through.
Just 0.3 of a second splitting the Wyatt and Humphrey yellow and red BMW from the Sturgis Seat at the moment. The track does appear to be getting better.
It's getting better, but that pole-sitting BMW is at the moment not lapping at the kind of pace that it had been lapping at. So
it's that greasy kind of interim sort of condition now, isn't it? Not as wet as it was, but not fully dry.
Here comes Danny Cassar again. What can he do this time? Needs to find a tenth of a second to gain 1 place. If he can find a full second, he might gain a couple, you know. Over the start-finish line goes the Honda. No, slower lap. Only by a tenth of a second, though. So the number 85 Honda still is 4th at the moment. Good improvement, though, from number 7. Back to 7th place again now for David Marcusson at the wheel of his largely white BMW with the black roof.
I guess we're also seeing speed differentials across the drivers in the double-driven cars as well. So the BMW that's on pole, 98 now, has its second driver in it.
Yeah, I don't know which way round.
No, me neither.
I've got start drivers for most of the races, which I can relay to you when I go through the grid markers. Cool. But for qualifying, we just don't get them, do we?
I have a few grids that I was able to bring with me. That's where I was waylaid.
Right. Okay. So are you dashing back in the lunch break to grab the others?
No.
No. Right.
I think tomorrow I will try to broker a deal with Pat to bring my car out and put it on the infield somewhere, out of sight behind the barriers, etc. Because it's an easier journey.
Easier commute.
Yes.
Rather tortuous, was it this morning?
It was.
So through and over the start-finish line comes that number 98 BMW that at the moment is lapping a lot slower than it had been doing, but is still good enough for pole position. Number 199 Jamie Sturgis pressing on through. His lap times have eased over the course of the last few laps, but that is the best lap that he's done so far, Jamie Sturgis. Not good enough to grab pole position as yet, still keeps him on the front row, but a 1 minute 22.776 Marcus Pye is knocking on the door, isn't it now?
0.222, fifth of a second, effectively. And Sturgis is looking good. His lines through here are absolutely immaculate at this end of the circuit.
So BMW from Seat, BMW from Honda, BMW from BMW from BMW from BMW, I think is the way the grid lines up at the moment. And then we start to get a bit more variety when we go down from that.
Mr. Howarth has just arrived and on full understeer. But he's got it round. Adam Howarth in the 21, Howarth Holmes E36 M3.
It's nice to see out Jerry Bailey's Holden Commodore as well, one of the cars which I would imagine can trace its roots back to the Middle Eastern Championship that we had for those cars. The number 36 BMW, Mark Smith and Aaron Moulton Smith, that is third quickest, had a little bit of lappery to deal with. That was Alex Haynes' BMW that was sort of in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that might just have compromised the lap towards the end there.
Had the Nissan 370Z there, Paul Bolton, the Odell Motorsport car, go rocketing past the Reynolds and Ridgeon Renault Clio 182. That's held its line really well. That's
the second of the Bob Neville built Nissans that we've got in the field, isn't it, this weekend?
I think it's that one, the white and red one.
It is, yeah. It's one of the ex-PlayStation Academy cars. So it was built by RJN, by Bob Neville's...
Bob Neville, who, if you're old enough, and you're not, you'll remember from driving a Mod Sports MGB GT8 back in the 1970s here.
No, you're right. No, not old enough. I noticed Darren Fielding's just improved as well, so he's knocked the number 36 BMW off third place on the grid. So 11 Darren Fielding now is a 1 minute 23.055. That is exactly half a second away from pole position. So gap first to second is 0.222. Gap second to third is 0.278. So lots could change in the final 4 minutes.
Very much so. And they've clouded over again. The wind is not quite as brisk as it was. It was a massive headwind up the up Woodham Hill this morning. I noticed as I was chatting to one of the Morrises, Ricky Parker Morris, in the paddock at lunchtime, or sort of the semi-lunchtime.
Darren Fielding back over the start-finish line. Improved last time through. Can he improve this time? No, he can't. No, again, transponder not working correctly on that car, so it just takes a while for it to register on the timekeeping.
It's getting a clear lap that's now the problem. One of the Ginettas is outside the Clio, but here comes the Fielding car. That understeers into Campbell. Of course, you have to build your speed through the Campbell Common Seagrave complex, the right, left, right. And that really, the exit speed from the complex dictates your pace all the way around, so certainly halfway around the back. If you can't get through Noble quickly and down to Church with some alacrity, then your lap time is probably gone.
Yeah, most circuits have that key corner, don't they, that leads you onto the fast sections. So
exactly.
Getting the momentum off it is
absolutely Markuson hanging the tail out of his big BMW, the E46 CSL. 3.2 litres there, David Markuson, number 7. And he rockets away past the Howarth car on the exit of the complex.
Into the pit lane has come Liam Crilly. We've also got Jamie Sturgis. So Liam Crilly is 13th. Jamie Sturgis is 2nd. There's an improvement for Stephen Scott Dunwoody. The number 48 BMW, which we're heading up to you, Marcus, has just gone 5th quickest. 1 minute 23.666.
I wonder whether Sturgis stopping early, as he appears to have done, will cost him a front row time if Fielding can just pop another quickie in.
Yeah, Darren Fielding is not that far away, is he? You need to find a quarter of a second.
Here's the Fielding car. This is a better turn into the complex this time. A little dab of the brakes going through Cobb. He's got a Ginetta to see his way past on the way out. He's going to catch that right in the middle of the left-hander, which probably isn't ideal.
Jamie Sturgis is back out. He exited the pit lane with a lap time and about 30 seconds to go, so his out lap can't be too slow, otherwise he'll run out of time. But I think he'll be good for maybe a Banzai 1 lap, or at least maybe to try and see as to whether he can do anything about pole position.
I like the little Honda. Looks really fine, the Honda Integra Type R. The Hillwood car of Ainge and Cassar. They have a couple of those, don't they? That's the 2.3 litre one in this race.
Stephen Scott Dunwoody improved last time through at the wheel of car number 48. A little untidy through the club chicane on that occasion. And as a consequence, that lap is about a minute and 1.5 seconds slower. Weather beginning to come in there again. So anybody that was hoping for a good last lap, it might sort of evaporate in front of their very eyes, because we're now into the final 50 seconds of the qualifying session, Marcus.
Yep, so those with us now at this side of the circuit on their last laps, very definitely. Those coming up the hill to the chicane, might be irrelevant that last lap.
Yeah, well, Jamie Sturgis is about to start his flying lap. This is the out lap that's about to be completed. Car number 199 heading on to the flying lap in the slightly deteriorating conditions now. So, I think that is probably going to be it, because the rain, it's not spits of rain, it's probably falling now at this part of the circuit.
One of the old autosport journalists said of Spa one year, the rain came from the sky, wetting the track and the people. Very indiscriminate, that rain in Belgium.
Very unusual for it to happen as well like that, isn't it? Never heard of that at all before. So checkered flag is out. I can't see there being really anybody that's destined to improve on this lap, because it really has deteriorated quite significantly, isn't it?
Proper plute, as they say.
So, with the rain now falling, are they all going to even continue the laps is the question. Well, yes, and very sideways in the case of Stephen Scott Dunwoody. Bags of opposite lock, but not great deal of lifting on the power, just enjoying the opportunity to get the tail end out on his car as he came out of the club chicane that time through. Mark Smith and Aaron Moulton-Smith, E36, heads for the pit lane. We have got Darren Fielding heading for the pit lane, and I think, most of the others have decided that enough is enough. So I think we are probably fairly safe to guide you through the order for this
610s covering the top four, with the little Honda not that far behind them, the further 610s.
I think that could be a good race. It might be one of the smaller fields that we've got, but they're all quite bunched towards the front. It depends on what the weather forecast is going to do this afternoon, because it's looking as though it's going to deteriorate, isn't it, throughout the course of the day? So
3 of those top 5 are double-driven cars, so that throws another little frisson of excitement into the mix.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. So then, that's the last of the session before the lunch break, so let's just guide you through the times. And the number 85 car has now shown at the top of the times, which said it did it on its very final lap, which will be Nigel Ainge and Danny Cassar, who've popped in a 1 minute 21.750. But I find that...
How did they manage that in the wet?
Yeah, I'm sort of scratching my head.
It would augur very well had they done so.
Yeah, I'm scratching my head a little bit with that one, but I'll read out what's on the screen. So that is...
Where is the timing line? Coming into the pits?
No, it is...
I know where the conventional timing
where
line
the gantry is, yeah.
But when cars go into the pits, often they flick up at the next lap.
That's cool.
I guess that's probably what's happened.
Perhaps, yeah, very well thought through. Yeah, that's probably what happened. So that's showing what the time is, but we think the pole time will be number 98, which will be the beautiful-looking BMW of Mark Wyatt and Russell Humphrey. We'll wait and see.
It has come up on there as 21.758, but there'll be an adjudication process, no doubt. At the end of the day, it only sorts out the grid.
It does, yeah, and then there's a 40-minute race to look forward to. So Wyatt and Humphrey showing then as being second quickest, 1 minute 22.554 and 199. Jamie Sturgis third quickest with his TCR machine, 1 minute 22.776. Fourth quickest, 11, Darren Fielding, 123.058. Fifth quickest, 36, that's Mark Smith and Aaron Moulton-Smith with a time of 1 minute 23.166. Sixth quickest, number 48, enjoying the wet, damp weather in the closing stages, Stephen Scott Dunwoody with a 1 minute 23.666. And seventh quickest is number 7, which is David Markison, 1 minute 24.447. Eighth quickest is where we see car number 21, and that is Adam Howarth with a time of 1 minute 24.889. Ninth quickest is 3, which is Alex Haynes, 1 minute 25.645. 10th quickest, number 9, Dylan Popovich, 1 minute 26.314. 11th quickest is 49, and that is going to be Mark Jones and Robert Taylor's Seat Leon with a time of 1 minute 26.347. Andrew Rath, the champion from last year, or the series winner, we ought to say, from last year, To be absolutely correct, the number 1 car is 12th with a time of 1 minute 27.352. Liam Crilly's BMW was 13th, car number 112, 127.488. 14th quickest, that is car number 80, and that is Andrew and Christopher Etheridge with their BMW. 1 minute 27.599. 15th quickest is 144, which is David Triggs Ginetta, 1 minute 27.703. And 16th quickest is 43, the Lotus of James Tubby and Ryan Lewis, 1 minute 27.876. 17th quickest is 46, Jerry Bailey, 1 minute 29.025. Paul Bolton's Nissan was 18th, car number 135 with a 1 minute 29.730. 19th quickest is 86, which is Jeremy Cook with a 1 minute 31.424. And 20th quickest, just to give you the top 20 again, it is going to be Stephen Reynolds and John Ridgeon giving away a little bit of power at the wheel of their Renault Clio. They qualified with a time of 1 minute 32.769. So that's it for the moment, Marcus. More racing to come up in a while, haven't we?
Indeed. What time are we kicking off?
We are scheduled to get things back underway at 13:50, so that is, only 55 minutes time before we go green, and it may well be, Classic Sports Car Club, look at the timetable and how little slack we've got this evening, and the fact that the weather might turn. We might just start 5 or 10 minutes early, I would guess.
When you say the weather might turn, might we have sort of Sahara-like heat towards the end of the afternoon?
Well, it might turn even worse than it has turned in the last 5 minutes.
Let's hope not.
So there we go. That's all for the moment. From Marcus Pye out there at the complex, myself, Mark Werrell. Don't forget to... please maintain social distancing, follow the instructions that are around the circuit, and we can all keep racing for the rest of 2020 and beyond. But enjoy your lunch break. We'll be back with you in around about 45 minutes' time with the first of our races this afternoon, the Toyo Tyres WatchdogApp.com Jaguar Saloon Championship, including the Viren Builders Open Series. Until then, enjoy your lunch break. Goodbye.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think just watch for Delta 1, possibly. Just be wary of Delta 1. Oh, so she snorted earlier too. Yeah, she was standing over beside the assembly area earlier. Yeah, lights are on. And now off.
So you do every CSCC field, do you?
Yeah, I'm permanent for them.
Oh, yeah. Bit of a trek. Come over every weekend and then just go back, do you?
Yeah, so I travel back and forth. Normally I was flying to hire a car, but I'm not flying.
No.
Not a chance. So we need this.
How'd you go over this one on a boat into
Liverpool and drove down yesterday.
you know, that's a trek, isn't it?
It was okay. It wasn't too bad. Deal with the stopwatch. Oh, I've got many layers on. There's a layer falling down. I don't know which layer it is. This is only a 20-minute race, thank God. But that's bloody great.
Big as well.
Yes. For having a championship race, having a championship is the fun. Jags is actually a championship, not series. All our other races are series. Yeah, fair.
Over here, yeah. They all going off at once.
No. So
Union flag.
the Jaguars will go on the 5-second board and the light.
Yeah.
The 20 seconds will elapse and the flag will drop. You happy enough with that, ma'am? The Jaguars will go on the 5-second board and the light.
Yeah.
The rest of the nutters shall, after 20 seconds, on the flag.
I'll be local on it.
Yes. It's great that they actually switched the power on for the lights for me now. After the first race, the power wasn't switched on this control.
I just wonder why you can't. I just wonder why you can't flag that one. That's different.
She's coming. She's here.
Perfect. We have a full time, everybody.
How many cars?
Ma'am, we have a total of 45, or no, sorry, 46 starters.
Right. Chances of you getting a full lap in are quite frankly.
No class.
45 at the moment.
46, ma'am. I don't really believe we were allowed to figure group. But some of the cars weren't there yet, so.
Well, I know at least one of them, so the organiser was saying he needs one of them to drop out because he's got reserved.
Yeah, quite a few reserves for this.
And he was feeling really guilty about the reserves turning up and not getting to go racing.
Well, there's 6, there are Pullmans there, we're missing pretty much second, third, fourth, fifth.
Put that there.
Yeah.
So, right.
Is that the health and safety one? No. Please, sir, if you wouldn't mind. Shall I give you another dummy?
I'm telling her.
Do what you like. I've got me coffee, I don't care.
Clive, if you could have went approximately row 9.
That, once I got done,
Yeah.
the team didn't have a good match.
Ah.
He got done additional 30 seconds with his yellow flag up.
Oh dear.
So we got 40 seconds with no racing.
How many hours is it?
Who's she?
20 minutes, like I
row 9 for me, because that's the start of the
Okay.
the one that should
Yeah,
go
but
with
then I
the
can look down for the first thing, look back and look up. I think I picked up a 13. You've got a 13 in this game.
countdown starting now.
Okay. Where's your green flag left from there?
Yeah. Currently missing row position 2, 3, 4.
Sorry?
We're missing position 2, 3, 4, query 5.
Ready?
So, no, well, they're just not in correct grid position, so they will probably come through the puck.
When we do the rallycross, there is a certain driver in rallycross who's always told and who's always last to turn on, and then you have to try and weave in through.
And their grids are big either. They're very small dummy grids.
But you line up 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You line up 3 or 4 races in one ending at one time, and then you've got to get bloody marvellous through the whole freaking lot.
So welcome back, everybody, for this afternoon's racing here at Thruxton. If you're here at the circuit, then hope you enjoyed your lunch break and the chance to just shelter from the rain that continues to fall. If you're listening live, because we are going out live, the circuit commentary on TSL Timing's website for the first time, and you're one of the perhaps team members or family that would usually travel to the events with the Classic Sports Car Club supporting your drivers, then gave you the chance to stick the kettle on, put your feet up and come and join us for this afternoon's racing. The first of 6 races will get underway very shortly. They're just in the assembly area, and any second now they will head out onto circuit. It is a combined and very full and large grid of Toyo Tyres, WatchdogApp.com, Jaguar Saloon Championship competitors mixed in with the Viren Builders Open Series. Now, originally when the grid was issued, it was issued as a grid based on qualification times. And I recall saying in qualifying there would be a split grid. The Jaguars going off first, and about 20 seconds later, a delay, and then the Viren Builders Open Series cars going off. Originally, the grid suggested otherwise, but an amended grid has been issued. So whilst it's Mark Werrell that's chatting to you now, and I see the cars over the start-finish line and up towards Allard, when they appear into the sight of Marcus Pye, who's at Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave. Marcus, I'm not sure whether when you left the paddock you had the amended grid or not.
I did indeed. So I've got the Jaguar grid and then the rest of the race things, the Open Series.
That's super. I sort of refreshed my screen and printed one out over the course of the lunch break because I thought it was unusual.
I only have the grids for the next couple of races. The rest of them weren't ready when I left.
Okay, well I have them. So if you have a pen handy when I'm reading them out,
I will be jotting like crazy.
Magic stuff. So thanks also for those of you that are here at the venue as well for respecting social distancing, which isn't difficult because we are close to spectators and therefore minimum numbers that are here. But those of you that I've seen when I went to the Jackaroo restaurant briefly over the course of the lunch break, everybody being sensible, everybody obeying the additional measures that are in place, and we appreciate your assistance with that. Let's guide you through the grid then, because the cars are going to be going off onto their formation lap soon. They'll leave the assembly area straight onto the green flag lap, then they'll line up on the grid with the help from our fantastic marshals that are here. We couldn't do the work without them. And then the Jaguars will go off on the red lights, and then when the Union flag falls, that's when then the rest of the Viren Builders Open Series go off. So the way that they line up then is first 6 rows of the grid are all Jaguars. Number 67, Colin Philpott, sits on pole position. 99, James Ram alongside. That's 67 and 99. Row 2 of the grid is 4, Tom Robinson, as they are now leaving the assembly area. And alongside is car number 158, long-time Jaguar racer since the early part of the 1980s, really, Derek Pearce, 4 and 158, row number 2. The third row of the grid is 97, Lawrence Kopok, and 24, which is Michael Seaborn, 97 and 24 on row number 3. Row 4 is 11, Michael Holt, and 44, Guy Connew, who had problems with his car in qualifying, and the car sort of ground to a halt just around through Brooklands and on the run up towards Woodham Hill. So hopefully that is all sorted. 11 and 44.
That's the Group 44 look like.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
11 and 44, row number 4. The fifth row of the grid is 70, Tom Lemthal, and 27, which is Richard Kopok, son of Lawrence, who's further up the grid, 70 and 27, and the sixth and final row for the Jaguars, at least, is 28, Daniel Stewart, And number 5, Simon Dunford, 28 and 5. Then there'll be a couple of rows gap before we then get to the Viren Builders Open Series, which will go off about 20 seconds later. Car number 199, Jamie Sturgis sits there on pole position. Dominic Malone. Row 2 for the Viren Builders. Row 10 this will be in reality overall. 62, Matthew Evans. And 1 to 8, which is Brad Sheep. Row number 11 then is 1-8.
And race with us at the CSCC. And all looks good.
It certainly does all look good. It's, Paul